get to some Feedback Friday. You guys ready to go? Yep. Let us delve now in to the stevedace.com inbox. This note is longer than what I would typically share. But when I get to the end of it, you will be glad that I did. Okay? You guys have said two things repeatedly over the last few months on your show. Let's find out where are the dads.
And then span across
Recently, my 10-year-old son had an experience that was beyond encouraging for the times in which we live. My youngest son,
I need a
he's just your
big
average,
brake
fun-loving
pedal,
10-year-old.
and
He does
I'm
not
never
have
going
an
to use the
aggressive
clutch.
bone in his
But
body.
the clutch has an interesting spring
Let's
in
just say
it.
that testosterone is not
And
quite
these
kicked in.
face plates,
If there's a bully at a school, and this kid has been a bully
these
for years
face
now,
plates
I do not
are
blame the kid at all.
amazing.
I absolutely blame the parents.
It's
My
like
son has had
wearing
multiple
hospital
run-ins with him
socks.
over the years. I know you have a
It's
spot in
not
your heart for
brushed,
standing up
it's
to bullies, so I wanted
deeper,
to share this.
it's grounded.
My son and I have talked repeatedly about
amazing.
standing up for ourselves, standing up for our faith, and standing up for those that cannot fight back.
T-LCM,
I fully
load
realize that
cell,
standing up
and
for yourself and knowing
magnetic.
that there may be a threat of violence can be scary for an adult, much less a 10-year-old kid.
So I'm pretty
I've had
excited.
multiple conversations with my son that violence is not an answer. But if someone else
Before I start playing with the springs and crap, I have got to get
We've talked about the
my
fact
pedal
that
facing
if that happens, then you are
set up.
not respond with flight, but with fight. As a dad, I don't know if this is right or wrong. Oh, it is very right.
So we're gonna work on this right now.
It's very right. I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I've told my kids that if another person hits them, they then are to defend themselves and keep defending themselves against that person until someone pulls them off.
Yeah.
I realize this may not be turn the other cheek viewpoint. Turn the other cheek is not about self-defense. It's about vengeance. It's about seeking vengeance and validation for yourself. It's not about self-defense or defending the innocents that are under your charge. That's not what it's about. It's about vengeance.
Didn't know that. Did you?
But I will not apologize for my sons defending themselves.
Okay.
Or should you? They were made that way by their creator. If they can't learn to defend themselves, then how in the world will they learn to defend their wives and family? Exactly. That's why you shouldn't apologize. They were made that way by their creator. Exactly. This classmate of my son's had actually broken one of his friend's collarbones the week before in a 7-on-7 flag football league. The next Wednesday, the boy came up to my son and pushed him and made my son spill his lunch all over himself and the floor in the cafeteria. That Friday morning, I spoke to the teacher and asked her, what do I need to do to ensure my son is not in the same class as this kid next year? She said she would help with that process, but she could not guarantee it.
Really?
Well, my son guaranteed that for me the same day in lunch. There was a table of boys and a table of girls eating lunch, which is normal for 4th graders. The bully gets up unprovoked, goes over to the table of girls, and looks at one of the girls and tells her, why is your forehead so big and why are you so ugly? By the way, that is learned behavior. That boy has been modeled to that boy from what he is seeing from somewhere else, maybe even in the home. Am I right? Absolutely, you're right about that.
Yep.
This little girl, of course, breaks down into tears. My son hears what he says, sees the girl's response, and he's finally had enough. He walked over to the bully and starts throwing punches. He continually hit this kid in the head and the face until one of the coaches on cafeteria duty pulled him off. They're in the 4th grade. No one's going to the hospital or in critical condition. So Steve, here's where it really gets good. I don't know, brother. I kind of thought this thing was already. It's going to get better than this? Okay. My son is told to sit back down, and the bully, who is crying and screaming, is told by the coach to go to the office. The coach, who's a strong Christian man, doesn't really say a word to my son, just lets him sit back down with his friends and calm himself down. The bully is the one who is separated, correct? The bully is singled out, correct? The bully got his ass whooped and had to do the walk of shame in front of the school, correct, correct, correct? The average kid who just wants to eat his lunch with his friends sits back down and continues lunch, also correct. Again, can this check any more boxes? I don't know if this note's doing it for you guys, but it is certainly doing it for me, okay? The assistant principal comes to my son later and they have a talk. They talk and my son gets in-house suspension for the rest of the day. I get a phone call from the assistant school principal and it's very cordial, positive, and actually completely affirms my parenting. The assistant principal tells me my son told him he knew he would be in trouble, but he said he didn't care. He said my son fully accepted responsibility and had no remorse, but was also not upset about being in trouble. He took full responsibility.
Had to do the right thing.
The assistant principal said my son told him that since no one else was going to deal with it, he did. My son just told him that he was tired of this kid, and so was everyone else. The assistant principal asked my son if this was going to happen again, and I was told that your son looked me right in the eye and said, if he acts better, no, but if he doesn't, yes, I will do it again.
Good
That
on
may
him.
have been the best gift a dad could ever get. A son exerting conviction and character to an authority figure without being prodded. It was a surreal moment. Here's the best part of this. Again, I don't know. This is pretty good so far, guys. This has got a good beat, and you can dance to this one, okay?
You can dance.
It's been over a week since this happened, and the bully has not returned to school, not one day. I've tried to talk to my son that if he comes back, you can act like nothing happened. You can be the bigger person, and maybe you can help lead this kid into being a good classmate. This bully now knows what his boundaries are, and you've helped to set them. There's no need to further embarrass him by talking about it. Good, good. These are all good things.
Yep.
Everyone deserves a chance at redemption. Very good. And my son, you can be an example of that. Just move on. But he knows full well that he will get another ass beating if he gets out of line again. When my son and I talked about this, I told him how proud I was for standing up for others and himself. He asked me what he should do if things like this happen again. I looked at him as proudly as I could and asked him a question. What would Captain America say about that? His eyes beamed with pride, and a huge smile came across his face. He said, Dad, he'd say, I can do this all day. Damn right, son. My son had his first let's find out moment. He was scared, but he fought through that to do the right thing for his friends. We have to be calling out and challenging men to do the same. So your second phrase, where are the dads? I'm convinced that if there were more dads and active dads, there would not be the need for so many let's find out moments amongst the kids. Remember that story from earlier this year where the dads show up in the school halls and all of a sudden everybody starts coming correct, right? Yes, indeed. Keep calling us out, all of us.
This is my custom pedal
All gas, no
from
brakes.
GT Planet.
That's from Mark.
That's my GT Planet ID. GTP_DTS, Dave the Stalker. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take 3 pedals, make one big one. I still got to take the other one off, but I'm going to screw them together and have another one over here, which is going to be the clutch. Clutch is going to be over here. And then one big ass pedal all the way across. Gotta bridge the brake and the clutch.
At least for the rest of his childhood, the rest of his life.
Something flew feather into my nose. What was it?
Not necessarily.
Was it a COVID bug?
With knowing what your job is.
COVID's airborne, not like that.
Violence isn't the point. It's he knew what was right and what was wrong, and he took action.
This is the catch.
That's the baseline expectation.
Using the blocks.
For this kid,
okay.
The rest of his childhood.
This is 20mm. 10 is the standard. I had it this way, and I had 0 leverage. I was pushing against the bottom, and I had to put so much pressure to push the bottom. To put my foot up here, I had to curl my toe around the top of the plate, and then I had leverage.
Far easier to control the chaos.
So,
but I told all of them.
taking a big swing.
It's not A's and B's versus C's. None of that.
You know what? I'm gonna start with the 10 first. The 20 might be too big to start with.
And now I've got
because it's gonna create a steep angle. I know it is. So we'll start with the 10s. Because these pedals aren't raised at all. They're actually fairly flat. And my old ass ankles, I need fairly flat.
There's no way around it. It doesn't matter if you're like my daughter and hasn't caused trouble for anybody. They will paint you this way. So you need to have your Sean Connery in you. What are you prepared to do? And there's no talk. Like, I don't know. That kid probably hasn't come back for very terrible reasons. Yeah, it's very, very sad. It's very sad. But it was going to be sad no matter what. Yeah, that's the thing.
No, we're gonna do it. We're gonna swing for the fences. We're gonna swing for the freaking fences. I need
and you had to make a choice.
A Thrustmaster sticker right here.
If he has any chance, even with whatever he's dealing with now, he couldn't keep going down this road.
Going across the front
his
there.
Salvation is through the pain
TM.
That's exactly and you said this
big TM logo.
Right, damn.
Right
now you're gonna feel a little bit of pain yourself. You're going to feel it a little bit, and you need to. You earned it. And I'm happy to do it for you. But then you're right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
If that kid comes back, hopefully there's some restoration. Unfortunately, it appears your son is going to have to be in charge of that too. I know you talked about a nice Christian man in there, but like, why in the hell does this go on? Because all of you are a bunch of damn Christian banjo-playing, veggie-tail SOBs who need to look below and find out whether you were in fact born a man or a woman and do what must be done. Can I just do the final live read? Can we just end the show on that note? Just get out of here and or maybe just roll that on a loop for the next 45 minutes? Because nothing forthcoming will be more important or impactful than what he just said. As it turns out, I woke up person this morning. This note is not going to be quite as fun to read. The thing is, both you and Hannity are cut from the same cloth, Steve. You're both You're both egotistical and judgmental.
Wow.
Both of you that have a following that amounts to cultish acclaim.
Wow.
Your proclamations of your own Christian-based ideation is wrong, as you repeatedly rush to judgment of others with your own biased ideations. There is none of Jesus' meekness in any of you or your fellow compatriots on the show during the 2 hours you spew your vile. Though I find interesting your knowledge of politics, there are times you're bent on proclaiming your Christian base. It turns my stomach as much as other money-hungry preaching fornicators that are on at midnight begging for the ignorant to send them their money.
Wow.
That is from Dee Karen Bauer. Here's why I wanted to read this. That's not why.
Wow.
That's funny. Now, the reason I wanted to read this is number one. Believe me, the last thing I want to generate. So you don't need to do this. I don't need a bunch of you to send notes to me. Hey, you're doing a great. I don't do that because it will kind of affirm her point. Okay. I don't want a cultish following. I don't want that.
So.
I mean, in many respects, she is contradicting herself. On one hand, she claims I have a cultish following, and then on the other hand, she claims that I proclaim Christ way too much. Well, the reason I do that, frankly, is that I don't have a cultish following.
I love this.
He deserves the following. I don't deserve anything. I'm a kid born to a 15-year-old mom.
This is just slippery
I already
chrome.
have been given far more than I deserve, beginning with salvation.
These two are going to be like this.
Now,
then the original brake pedal is going to span the two of them and combine it and make one big brake pedal.
Nothing in common.
So I got to play with this.
Program on a daily basis.
See how it's going to work.
But I also don't want to have a cultish following. I don't want people to do things because I said to do them or vote ways because I said to vote certain ways. If I like a candidate, I will tell you. And I'm not endorsing that candidate because I don't want them to win. But I even told you last week when the Pennsylvania thing was going on, vote the way you want.
Alright, it's not like this. That's what the goal is.
My major
like a good
issue
goal?
with that candidacy,
with
Kathy's candidacy, was I thought a completely unfair standard of quote-unquote of a fallacy known as electability was being put on an open Christian woman that was not being applied to everybody else. And so I felt an obligation to defend a sister, that's all. Whether you thought she was or wasn't the best candidate in the race really isn't for me to say.
Because that's a lot over there.
Here's the other thing, though, I wanted to address with this note. If you think, first of all,
this route.
And so is Todd, so is Aaron, and so are all of you. To some degree, we are all phonies.
I love this. It's freaking awesome.
There is no such thing as a non-hypocritical believer. If we were capable of living out the fruit of the Spirit, living Christ-like meekness totally on our own and in our own power, we wouldn't have much of a need for Christ, would we? Right?
Nope.
So, yeah, I'm a phony. Follow me around. Follow the deep, dark recesses of my brain and some of the things that I ponder or am tempted by or want to indulge in.
Great job,
You'll find a lot of things
Thrustmaster.
in there that are hypocritical to Christianity.
Great
Absolutely.
job. Outstanding.
We're all phonies.
Love these pedal
The first
faces.
step to
Love
becoming
them.
a real Christian is to admit you're a fraud in some respects.
Okay.
You're a sinner. You can't do this on your own. And by continuing to try, you will just continue to wreak more havoc upon yourself and those around you. Again, I think I'm aware enough of Sean Hannity's content. I don't know that you'll ever hear anything like that in his program.
No.
But if you believe that I am peddling something that is phony, not that I'm a phony, because I freely admit that I am, because we all are, but if you think that what I'm peddling is phony, then you should absolutely have the same reaction that Dee does here. And you should do everything you can to try to steer people clear of ever approaching this program for failure of being deceived. Just as I do that. When I think people are deceiving others, you hear me say, hey, that guy I think is a deceiver, or I think that show, that's a heretic, don't do that. I do that, right? If you think I'm doing that, I would full-fledged urge you, by all means, let that thought be known. So, Dee, what I would tell you, this may surprise you, don't send this note to me. That's just a rant. That's just, having a tantrum. If you really believe this about me, wherever it is that you live, if you run into anyone at all that listens or watches this show, make sure you share that opinion with them. They should hear it. Sending this to me won't do any good, because if I am what you think I am, it's not like I'm going to change my ways. I'm just going to continue the scam, right? I'm going to continue peddling the phoniness, right? Because it's lining my pockets. That's the charge that she's making. So sending this, what would be the point of sending it up to Joel Osteen? Hey, dude, do you know you never preached the Bible? If he's what you think he is, it is. He's already aware of that, correct?
Yeah.
So sending him your lament will just go into a circular file, okay? Send it to tell other people so that they avoid falling into his orbit. So I would urge you to take your message, Dee, to everyone you know. Assuming you're listening, and history has shown that the people that tend to send these notes tend to listen almost as much as anybody else does. So assuming you're listening, maybe you're not. I hope you're not. And if you think this, don't be listening anymore. So, and don't send me these notes, because if I am what you think I am, I'll just continue on with the scam you think I'm scamming. Instead, you should go to everybody within your orbit and make sure they completely steer clear of noon to 2 Eastern on the Blaze, because that guy's a total phony, and he's peddling phoniness. Let's move on. Brian Neal says, could not the World Health Organization just declare gun violence a pandemic in the U.S. as a backdoor, think Lindsey Graham way, to supersede you? You guys are actually now dropping the Lindsey Graham references, I gotta tell you. I dig it. As a backdoor way to supersede the Second Amendment and remove guns from law-abiding citizens under this new master plan. Yes. Yes. We don't have any national sovereignty right now.
Ah, shit.
That's why I've not spent a lot of time on this story.
These two are close together, man. Jeez.
Because the only sovereignty we have as a nation right now is exerted on a molecular, granular level. What are you willing in your home, and then your family, and then your community? What are you willing to comply with, and what are you willing to not comply with? Fourth graders in the lunchroom. That's exactly right. Yes. That is now the extent of American sovereignty. Folks, you live in a country where drug cartels from another country fly drones over your sovereign lands in order to spot where your almost non-existent border patrol is. In order to circumvent it by exporting even more drug mules, even more opioids, and even more human traffickers.
They do what?
You're not a sovereign people. We're not a sovereign nation. Didn't we just spend the last 26 months being proven that?
Okay, so this one then. Over there.
Can't have a job unless we violate your bodily autonomy. Can't you open this building unless you choke yourself out?
That won't fit. It won't read.
Can't leave your house.
Shit.
Isolate your loved ones. Don't go to church.
Shit.
We got a problem. National sovereignty.
We got a problem. It won't fit.
This is a failed nation state, guys. It's a failed nation state.
It won't fit.
Copyright Dave Reboy. This is late Republican
Shit.
nonsense.
It won't fit.
Okay.
Huh.
That's what this
Well,
is. You
okay.
don't have... There's
Flip it around.
Don't
See
get all
what
paranoid
happens.
about the WHO thing.
Yeah. Experiment.
You don't have it now.
You don't know unless you prove it.
So all these
That's
questions
what science is.
come down
Proof.
to what are you willing to
It's
comply
all
with?
about
You want to know what
proof,
your
man.
national
Proof.
sovereignty is? I won't put this on Twitter and Facebook, but I'll say it here. Should I say it? Hell yeah, I'm going to say it. Your Second Amendment is your national sovereignty, guys.
Exactly.
That's your national sovereignty. It's your Second Amendment.
Defending ourselves.
That's the only border that exists in America today, anywhere. That's your national sovereignty. So, which I think you sense, Brian, which is why you're framing the question this way. But if you would just hand over your guns to the World Health Organization, you're not worthy of a Second Amendment anymore.
Excuse me?
That's... Sovereignty is now what you as an individual, your
Drop the
home,
nut.
your family, your household, and
Shit.
your community, what will they comply with? Whatever you're willing to comply with, they are going to do to you. And I mean,
Shit.
whatever you will comply with, I promise you, they will do it to you.
Oh, where is it?
Whatever. That is the new definition of American sovereignty.
Oh, boy.
Any thoughts on that?
Oh, boy.
That's dark, but it's real. And that's what we do here. It's that's not mere rhetoric. You've let way too much go for way too long.
Where
in the
is
name
it?
of your comfort.
I need that nut.
You must be willing to. And that's not a now thing.
It's not up here.
Again, it's always been an American thing. It's always been a Christian thing. The amount of sacrifice you would put in to make things better, because that's the math of this thing. There is no cruise control. Each generation must take a stand, must stand opposed.
Damn it. Come on,
Yet
man.
many of you won't.
Please, Lord, help me find it.
I would just say as well, you know,
I found a trigger.
if you've been thinking about getting a gun or ever wanted to, probably should do some research and move on that now before they get any more expensive. That's what I'm saying.
Found a busted PlayStation 4 trigger.
The road that this goes down ends at the barrel of your gun, probably.
PS4 trigger.
I mean, that's the road that it went down at the start of this thing called the American story. Is that not how this whole thing started?
Yes.
So I don't know why we would just assume we would be exempted from that for all of eternity. The founders didn't believe that. That's why they gave us the Second Amendment in the first place. They anticipated, hey, if this could happen in our day, understand, they thought they were the progressive age. They're post-Reformation, post-Enlightenment, post-Renaissance. They're the Gilded Age. They're the progressive thinkers of the time.
Oh, man.
They're all Ivy League educated. And so they're like, dude, if this could go down in our modern age,
Man.
right?
Come on.
If it could go down in our modern age, then this could go down in any age. That's why they put the Second Amendment there. James writes, you guys are the best power trio since ZZ Top.
I'll take it.
I thought that was one of the best and coolest compliments we've ever gotten as a show. Amen?
Amen.
I thought that was... Aaron is like, what is a ZZ Top? Right? From your generation. But if you're our generation, you totally get it.
Sleeping bag, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Another sharp-dressed man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great compliment, James. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Don't do that.
Yeah, LaGrange, that's from Ron, the voice in my ear. You guys never hear. That's going way old school. That's almost before you and I's time. Go back to
crikey.
LaGrange. That's old school. ZZ Top.
Yeah.
So we've got more. Let me see. I'm going to try to get through as many of these as I possibly can for Feedback Friday.
Over under 3.
You think it's 3? And you know what's? Out of spite, I try to do more than that whenever you do that.
So it doesn't work.
It still doesn't work.
Are these guys hobos or something?
Even my, what's that?
Or is it ZZ Top hobos or something?
You shut your damn mouth. Okay?
Shut your cake
You
hole.
look like you're fired. We'll come back with more in a minute.
Damn.
If you're a dog owner,
So we got this way,
that means more
the custom
to you
one
and your
under
family than just giving it food
that
and
one.
water. The health, happiness of that pet is important to you, and it brings you happiness to make it happy. So that's why we've been telling you for a while now about Rough Grades. It's the supplement powder that you mix in with your pet's food, because it puts back into your pet's diet the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, a lot of which that were stripped out of that food before it ever left the factory and got to the store. Same reason they do it to the people food that we eat these days, for mass distribution. That's why we take so many supplements as humans. And now there is one for your pet, and if my dog Cat is any indication, it's also delicious. I can't say I've tried this one. Thank you. Is that a new sound effect? I like it. Okay. So, if you want to give Rough Grades a shot, see if you don't see a difference in your pet in 2 weeks or less. Maybe you're skeptical.
That's a mess.
We'll give you the first 14-day Jumpstart bag for free. You'll pay for the shipping, because if you put a little money in, you're more inclined to go ahead and try it. And we think it's good for your pet, so we want you to. All right, take advantage of this special offer when you go to roughgrades.com, RUFF. That's how they spell it there, roughgrades.com, or you can call them at 833-ROUGH-DOG. All right, let's get back to Feedback Friday. This is from Tom G. He writes, in the last few weeks, I've had a real come-to-Jesus moment on who I take seriously in the talk radio sphere. Listening to Hannity during my afternoon commute is now a test of my intestinal fortitude to not drive off a cliff after hearing him say literally the same things over and over and over again. The number of lemmings that parrot his talking points is nauseating. I do have to say, however, earlier this week he was complaining about people calling him out for supporting a transhumanist in Oz. He literally said, listen to this, guys, he literally said he was going to get to the bottom of the complaints against him. I laughed so hard I almost drove off the road. I was half expecting Lindsey Graham to call in so he could join in on getting to the bottom of it. That is from Tom G. I think I need to stress to you folks that I am a second generation national conservative host. Okay, a second generation. What is it? Why is that important? Because Sean Hannity and these people are not my peer group.
Right.
I grew up listening to the same stuff you guys did. David Limbaugh's a friend of mine. He wrote the foreword to my book, Rules for Patriots. We were on the cruise campaign together. I've never met Rush Limbaugh. I've never physically met Mark Levin. I've never met Sean Hannity, although I've said this before. I think it should be repeated. Beyond how nauseating I find his content and his approach to politics, on a human level, with the way that he is known to treat people in the industry, he actually has one of the better reputations in our industry. I have said that before, by the way. I just think we should say that again. Okay? The reason why me being a second generation national talk host is because I think it bears you guys it's important for you guys to know that I was originally, if I'm second generation, then I was growing up a consumer of the first generation. So that also means I went through a similar experience to what you're describing.
Here's the other custom brake pedal I have for the T500. This one just simply says GT Planet on it.
You know, this content was great.
Jordan didn't want it, so he told me I could go ahead and keep it.
But times have changed. We need to evolve a little bit. Well, we're still doing the same show we were doing in 1995 and 2001 with the same talking points and everything. I think that's what a lot of people on the right, like Ted, falling in line behind the Ukraine narrative. I think a lot of that comes from people that were, came of age politically in the Reagan era and just can't get over Russia because of the old Soviet Union. Hey, I get it. I've talked to myself about how difficult it is for me to set the "we're America, bitch" kind of premises that I was raised with and the generation I was forged in, to set that stuff aside and see the world for how it really is today. I get that. But I'm not just a producer of this content, I'm a consumer of it. So I've had my own come to Jesus moments talking to people like you, Todd, and other friends of mine over the years, like, is there something wrong with me, or is this show, so-and-so show, or so-and-so's shtick or approach just isn't doing it for me anymore? Like, it doesn't seem to speak to where we're at right now. So I totally get that. And here is my hope and prayer. My hope and prayer is that in about 20 years...
Come on, man.
Someone else in a large group of you will now be saying the exact same things about me. That's my hope and prayer. Because A, that means the country survived that long. Because I'm skeptical of that, frankly. And B, that means We survived that long. We survived long enough to see ourselves become the villain.
Yeah, come on, man. I really don't want to do that.
Enough to get to the point now where the next generation, the third generation of this arises now and realizes it's got different problems in 2040.
I really don't want to freaking do that. I want to use the brake pedal.
Trite and cliched.
I really do. I want to use the brake pedal.
That's the natural ebb and flow of things. That's healthy, actually. That's the natural transition of generations. Now, the problem we have is prior to this current generation, and a lot of it is life expectancy, but that's not all. Prior to this current generation, there was not nearly as systemic a problem with people just holding on and on and on and on and on and on as there is now. Do you guys know the Rolling Stones are going on tour again this summer? Yeah, after they buried Charlie, the drummer. Because he died at like 86, I think it was. They're going back on tour this summer, guys. I love Paul McCartney to death. He's on tour right now.
Why?
Guys. Paul McCartney is.
Why? He broke.
Brought to you by Geritol. You know, I mean, this is different. There is something about this current generation that it doesn't want.
I really don't want to do it.
And allow that natural transition we were just talking about to take place. And that's
I could easily just use these two pedals and span across it.
Yeah. And so, as a result, we've got all kinds of people.
With a third.
You see this even in conservative media. We've got all kinds of people right now, even on the right, who are, we're the side that supposedly believes in transcendence and more to life than just a survival rate, right? We got a lot of people in our own ranks that are still saying a lot of the same things they were saying 20, 30 years ago, even though 20, 30 years ago, Bill Clinton was signing the Defensive Marriage Act into law, and almost every Democrat voted for it. It's just not the same. And I pray that the time will come that we'll be challenged with that same dilemma, that it's time now for us to take the George Costanza tap out and you know, do a victory lap, and we'll see you guys on the flip side, because it's time for a new generation to take over. Paul in North Carolina says, I just wanted to take a minute to thank you for exposing your audience to good people like Dr. Molly James. She is good people. Last week, my wife and then me came down with COVID for the first time. We're not jabbed. We contacted the Molly James Clinic online, and a physician's assistant called us within an hour and a half. She took the initial background info and told us the doctor would call us soon.
I mean, I can do this, you know, I can use the two stock pedals, brake pedal, and the clutch, and one of my custom, and span it, make a big one.
So thank you guys for
I really want to use this though, man.
Because I have been remiss in not bringing this up. We have not brought these sources up where you can go to
Pepper
get treatment.
fish.
I know there is a portion of our audience that got jabbed, particularly early on, when there was a lot of promise and hope in these jabs, or maybe later on, you got coerced by a job.
Ooh.
Now, Paul says he's unjabbed, but if you look at the numbers right now, Omicron, whatever the current Omicron variant is, because now we're not even sure what variant of the Omicron variant we're on, it's terrible on the jabbed. And I hope Geert Vanden Bossche turns out to be wrong, but right now we're looking at data that certainly looks a little bit like what Geert Vanden Bossche has been warning about for the last year and a half. If that's you, Molly and other people like her, or Frontline Critical Care, or COVID Critical Care Alliance, flccc.net, jamesclinic.com, okay? Those people aren't like the medical system. You're not scarlet lettered to them because you took the jab. The way that they will deny children kidney transplants at Mayo Clinic if they're not jabbed. We don't operate like that here on this side. We still think you're a human being. So if that's you, and you have been jabbed, and now you're the latest to find out that at the very least, this thing has waning efficacy, and at the worst, you're a victim of antibody-dependent enhancement, meaning you're attracting the virus to yourself now because of a substandard vaccination product.
Wow.
You can still go to these places, and they will happily help you. I don't think I've brought that up yet on the show, But so I wanted to put this note in the rundown so it would prompt me to remember to say that. So Molly is simpleJamesClinic.com, flccc.net, and there are several others as well, but those are the two most prominent ones that are right off the top of my head right now that are happy to help you. If you're finding out, oh, I got jabbed and it didn't work, as a lot of people are finding out right now. Where to go next? Eric King has, I think, an interesting question. It would seem that perhaps one of the reasons the left is rather shy when it comes to actively debating or acknowledging views even remotely approaching the right is not merely to discredit dissent by ignoring it, but also to avoid divulging details about their true worldview and the plans that they have, because it would alienate not only their own base, but even maybe some of their more radical members at the moment. Aside from the maxim of Aaron's razor, which is, it's just demonic, bro, I would like to know your thoughts about how the left has managed to maintain such a broad sense of unity when there are probably very few specifics that large swaths of their base outside of higher education indoctrination camps would even agree on. This is a great question.
It's upside
we could
down.
do an entire hour on this questionnaire.
I know the answer.
Because this isn't just... Oh, I'll challenge you on that here in a second. This isn't just the theological component here, but there's a political science answer here too. What do you think the answer is, or at least one of the answers, Tom?
They hate God and they hate you.
That is absolutely one of the answers. But there's a lot of people within the Democratic Party, a lot of black ministers, non-white ministers, they would not fall in that camp. But here's the thing. You're starting to see slippage now, aren't you? I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. You're watching the two parties flip identities. Flip ecosystems, habitats. For the longest time, and frankly, I got this from Rush, I just put my own spin on it. For the longest time, I used to say, if you ask someone why they're a Democrat, they'll give you an identity, right? I'm black, I'm Hispanic, I'm gay, I'm a teacher, I'm a single mom, etc. And if you ask somebody why you're Republican, they'll give you a value or an issue. I'm for low taxes, I believe in a strong national defense, I'm pro-life. They'll give you, right? Okay.
Right.
And so the Republicans were the ideologically driven party.
So we're going to end up with this.
Which made them an excellent minority party. They were great at getting together on...
I really want this. If I can get this actually ground or worked or something to get a nice rough finish like these have, that'd be
the Democrats
awesome.
were the coalition party.
Gotta shop around.
What's happening now is the Republicans are becoming the coalition-led party. Elon Musk is the latest evidence of this.
So I gotta find my screw I dropped.
And what drove Elon Musk?
Not the screw, but
he described it as the party of hatred and divisiveness. That's how he described it. But it's really their ideology. It's what their ideology has been really since the 60s. Since the radicals took over with McGovern in '72. This has really been... It's just a matter of when they can successfully repackage it the way Bill Clinton did. But this is what this has been post-Carter. This is what the modern Democratic Party has been. It's just the most honest about it than ever. And now what you're seeing is cracks in their coalition. The Quinnipiac poll that came out yesterday that showed a 26% approval rating with Hispanics. The whites that went to these higher education indoctrination camps that you're describing, Eric, they're the ones that have the majority approval of Biden and the Democrats. It's not Hispanics. Right now, there was a poll just 2 weeks ago, black approval for Biden's administration, 66%. That may seem sky high to you. Folks, that's the lowest I've ever seen.
Alright, so now I gotta find the nut I
You're
dropped.
seeing cracks. Trump already exploited these cracks when he took their rural base away from them, right? We saw Trump
somewhere, I think.
In Iowa is a prime example. If 99 counties in the state, 1/3 of them voted for Obama once or twice, and then turned around and voted for Trump twice. And we're a heavily rural state. So you saw Trump come along, and with his populism,
Hi,
you saw him
can I
blow a
help you?
full-blown
You're not
schism
doing a very good
between
job
the
helping me,
Democrats and
Pepper.
their
You're kind
rural
of in
base,
the way.
right? That occurred. And we started to see this with Trump in 2020. We're seeing it full-fledged now. You're seeing a schism between Hispanics and the Democratic Party, and now you're starting to see even
Pepper,
among
you're
blacks.
In the way, honey. Come on, get your tail out of my
Probably
face.
several
Good
years away
grief,
from them even
dude.
contemplating
You
voting
put your
for
fluffy
Republicans.
tail right in my nose.
But the steps that would get you to that point, you're
Come on,
watching that
meathead.
happen. And then at the same time, despite all the failures that we can all document, Karen in the suburbs triples down, quadruples down in these same polls on her support for Biden and the Democrats. Why? Because she's devoted. This is her ideology. You are now watching the Democrats become the ideologically driven party, and the Republicans become the coalition-driven party. And that explains why you are seeing real erosion amongst several of what used to be. I mean, the term Reagan Democrat was basically created for rural or manufacturing job Democrats who were socially conservative and pro-American. And then they turned around after Reagan and became deeply loyal Clintonistas, and then Obamaistas, and now they're MAGA. So we saw the rural base eroded.
Pepper,
You're watching the Hispanic base be eroded.
Pepper, you're in the way. Come on, get out of here. Come on, go.
Why? Because
you're laying right on it.
Aren't down with the spirit of the age.
Meathead.
They were down with the original agreement, which is we want access to government. Republicans prevent us from that, to feed their corporate whore buddies, and so we got to be Republicans. That was the original compact. That was the original social compact of the modern Democratic Party. The deal has been altered, and they will alter it further. The deal is now, it's the spirit of the age, all gas, no brakes, or nothing. And that's why you're watching the ecosystems of the two parties change.
And it's small. And I need
We're going to stick around and do overtime for Blaze TV subscribers. For the rest of you, have a great weekend. We will see you on Monday.
Man.
John 3:17.
I don't have any extras, I think. Come on now. I gotta find it. I gotta find it. I need it. I need a big ass brake pedal because, you know, I don't like squeezing the boys. I'm left foot braking. The nut is gone. Not gone. It's hidden right now. It didn't vanish. I just don't know where it's at. Oh. There it is. Thank you, Lord. Pray about it. That's what I gotta do. Pray about it. Pray about it. Ask the Lord to help. For anything. In all things. He's there. Always. Always. Acknowledge Him in all your ways. He will make your path straight. It may not be on your time schedule, but it will be on His. So you can bring Him glory. Okie dokie. Come on. Alright, so I need to go and get a screwdriver. Where do I want to use this? That way. Man, I really want to get the brake pedal on my foot. Oh, wow. I contacted the guy, GT Planet, that made these original custom ones. See if we can make one. Another. I don't know. I do not know. Hold on.
What's up, everybody? We're going to go on here in about a minute and a half. All fish. Then we get open lines. Starts at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So you give us a call on open lines. Talk about whatever you want. I want to thank everybody out there who came out to pass the mic today. I know that a lot of you from the live stream came out, so I do appreciate that. Thank you very much. Oh, dude, Eric, 100%, man. I agree. Word of the day is elongate. So elongate.
Screws are too long for a socket.
Yeah, dude.
And my long ones, I don't think any of those are going to fit. So, I gotta try this instead.
Yes, for those of you, well, I say don't forget, but for those of you out there maybe you haven't heard this yet, I'm on Truth Social. They opened Truth Social up last night, everybody. So if you are on Truth, follow me at Casey the host.
Yeah, I'm their Dave the Stalker. I'm Dave the Stalker everywhere.
You can go to truthsocial.com and actually sign up.
So that's gonna hold that. Okay. Yeah.
That's what I forgot to do. That's what I forgot to do. I forgot to do something.
Yeah, tight. Ah, come on, man. Get in there. Ooh, there we go. Ready? Just a good turn. Or couple.
Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Happy Friday, everybody. I also want to thank everybody who came out to pass the mic. It was a lot of fun, and I do appreciate it.
I need some good tools.
Normal because, again, warm weather, I told you, it never fails. Warm weather gets here. And some people were expecting rain, but it didn't rain. So, again, still, we packed the house. It's just we didn't overflow it like we usually do. So I do appreciate everybody coming out. It was a lot of fun. I know that a lot of you were on who are on the live stream or on Discord were there as well. So great seeing you guys and gals in person. And for those of you who got to see my mom throw a table, that was fun. Mom almost had a massive disaster while she was there. She was sitting at the table, and the table like folded, and all of her food started. So we were able to save it, thank God. But I throw chairs, she throws tables. That's how it works. All right, it is Friday, which means open line starting at 4 p.m. Not now. Now you have to listen to every word that I have to say. At 4 p.m., you get to dictate what we talk about on the show. So again, set your calendars, get the number down, and then at 4 p.m. we will go ahead and take those phone calls. If you are not aware, last night, and I have, by the way, a listener yesterday on the show posted this on Rumble. I didn't see it until last night. So technically, I guess it was yesterday afternoon. Truth Social opened up for everybody. So Truth Social is now live no matter what you have.
I told you about that yesterday, dude.
They don't have an Android app yet, so you can go to truthsocial.com. You can sign up there just like facebook.com. And it is up and running. You can follow me at Casey the host. So if you've been waiting to get on Truth
Dave the
Social,
Stalker,
now is the chance to get on there. And again, you don't need a phone, but if you have a phone, you can still do it through the web browser. But follow me at
Android
Casey the
user.
host, and it's been interesting actually. It really is very engaged. That was one of the things that I had seen about Truth Social beforehand, was that engagement was pretty high, and I've got to admit, so far engagement's been pretty good. So that's a positive. Anytime you have a social network and there's engagement, that's always good. So truthsocial.com is the website. You can sign up there. Follow me at Casey the host.
Follow me, Dave the Stalker.
And I have the link in the Rumble description below.
So thanks for following me there.
Lots to talk about today. I'm going to let you know right now. I got into this
TS Gaming.
and passed the mic, but I could not
True Social
get
Gaming.
into one public place too. There was a youngling there. So I'm not going to get into some of this stuff in great detail.
Alright, doesn't need to be overly tightened.
Ask parents who are going to have kids around, or if you are at work, and this might potentially be an HR issue, we are going to get into some mature themes here. And this is going to be probably the first half hour of the show, just letting you know. Alright, so this is your opportunity to bow out.
I'm a big fat
Back at
brake
4
pedal.
o'clock or 3:30, and we'll be done by 3:30, I think.
A Thrustmaster would make a big one on their own. That'd be outstanding. Because, you know, I'd much rather have this under my feet than that.
Right, I'll put it that way.
So,
we have CC compliant, just so you know, but it's definitely going to be mature theming, and I'm going to get upset. So I've given you ample warning. I don't want another parent calling me and going, that was too mature. So I'm warning you. So just take half hour off. Put in your headphones if you're at work. Come back a little bit later on if this is going to be a problem. Cue my audio.
Wow, 453.
This is my alma mater, the Clark County School
Gee whiz.
I've already told you many times before, you can easily look up the data on this. The Clark County School District, which is in Clark County, Nevada, that's where Las Vegas is the second largest school district in the entire country. And it is potentially the worst or near worst school district in the country. Has been my entire life. That's just who it is. It is run by a very corrupt teachers union. If you do not toe the line of the teachers union, you get kicked out of the teachers union, and when you get kicked out of the teachers union, you don't have a job because you're not allowed to work as an educator in Clark County unless you're a member of the union. It is that bad.
Wow.
Casey, Nevada is a right to work state. I know, weird how that works. Right? A little strange, don't you think?
Yeah.
This is another example of a parent going to a school board meeting and directly quoting what their child was given in class. And the school board, hypocritically, cutting their microphone.
Might have a little problem.
Now, they did bleep some of this language, so you're not actually going to hear any of this language. We're not going to commit any FCC violations.
So, let's see
it's
here.
a mature theme, okay? I want to play this for you. This is a mom from the Clark County School District.
Let's go.
We went to the school board and said, this was given my 15-year-old as an assignment, and I need to quote it to you because this is not okay.
That's no bueno.
What did she have to say?
I'm going to read you an assignment given to my
Gotta back it off.
15-year-old daughter at a local high school.
Gotta back this off so I get this under.
This will be horrifying for me to read to you,
Then
but that will give you perspective.
gotta get it all in and then
How
reassemble.
she must have felt when her teacher required her to memorize this and to act it out in front of her entire class. I don't love you. It's not you. It's just I don't like your or any in that case. I
What?
cheated, Joe.
Wow.
Now, let me pause it here, okay? That is, the bleeped words were a reference to male anatomy. As she's saying that, somebody in the crowd interrupts her because they don't want her to continue. Okay? So now we pick it back up.
Sorry. Excuse me.
Okay. The other person who interrupted her in the audience.
Karen.
This is propaganda that they're gonna put national. You're darn right. Then you start hearing the school board president speaking.
I don't. Thank you so much for your. Thank you for your. Forgive me. We're not using profanity. Are you?
It's in the book.
Okay.
Okay. School board president is now saying, we're not using profanity. Isn't that kind of the point?
Yeah, it's in the books though.
If you
What's up with
can't
that?
use profanity at a school board meeting with adults, then
Okay.
certainly you
So,
can't use it in the classroom as a required
back
assignment.
off a little bit.
Where the child is supposed to act this out in the classroom, correct? Does that make sense?
Now I can
Now what's happening
in
is the
there.
mom who is supporting this woman from
okay in
behind her
there.
is now
And then
pressing
tighten it
forward
back up.
saying, can she have her time back? Because this is directly relevant to why she's saying it. Now we pick up again.
This required my daughter to memorize this and read this pornographic material. Excuse me. Please don't engage with the.
It's in a book though, stupid.
So please continue your public comment. Your time is got 1 minute and 19 seconds. I ask you simply. This is a public meeting.
Yeah, well, it's a public book.
And I'm asking Dr. Jara. Thank you so much, Dr. Jara.
She's now referencing another member of the board.
If you don't want me to read it to you, what was it like for my 15-year-old daughter to have to memorize pornographic material
Ooh.
and memorize it and
Recite it.
Okay. That entire encounter was 1 minute and 37 seconds. They cut her microphone off at 1 minute and 36 seconds. Now they cut it off previously when she was quoting basically the screenplay script that her daughter was going to be required to recite in classroom.
Okay, so now I'm holding
So
it.
she's quoting the assignment that her 15-year-old is being given by a teacher.
Just hand tight.
And the
That's
assignment
good
is so
enough.
vulgar that it can't be stated openly at a school board meeting. And the school board members are telling her
then
we're
these
not to use
two
profanity here.
Go
That it shouldn't be in the classroom.
in there.
And you got some
there.
nuts,
Hey, baby.
probably a groomer in
Kitty.
the audience. Oh, this is propaganda.
Kitty,
No,
kitty,
look,
kitty.
If this woman is lying about this assignment and we find that out, we'll tell you. But I frankly am inclined to believe parents on all of this because the parents have had all of the evidence up until now. So she comes in and directly quotes this, that her 15-year-old daughter's like, yeah, my teacher, this is an assignment. I have to act this out with other students in front of the classroom. Where I have to say that I don't like this boy's private parts.
Wow.
And I don't like another boy's private parts. And that I cheated on him. And I'm a lesbian.
Wow.
This is in a classroom
What
at
the
the
fuck
Clark
is
County
that
School
all
District.
about?
Mind you, Clark County School District has a record of the highest rate of teen pregnancy, the highest rate of dropouts, and one of the lowest graduation rates in the entire country. That's my alma mater.
Man.
This is enraging. But this is also, I don't know, the
Should piss you
fifth
off.
time that we have played this type of a scenario that has happened somewhere in this country. Where somebody walks
What
in,
should piss you off even more
reading a
is
book
YouTube wants to block it.
directly from a book that has been given as an assignment in the school.
So,
And the school board cuts their microphone off because it's too vulgar. That's
angle
great. If it's too vulgar for
gonna
adults, then it's
be-
too vulgar for kids. It shouldn't be in the classroom.
about like
This
that.
is the basic standard,
I
folks,
guess.
that I've said before. If it would not be allowed on network television because the
Upside down,
FCC
dipshit.
would issue fines, then it should not be in the classroom. That is a
No.
basic, simple rule. Now wait till you hear about
So
the other high school
this is
teacher
the
that I
bottom
have.
position.
That's coming up. You saw 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Right. Angle. What angle are we at? Okay. So yeah, kind of do something like that, which isn't bad at all. It's all adjustable. You know, I can go with a 10mm and flip that one around if I needed to. Or these, you know, we're gonna try it in the down position. Right now it's in the up position, and then the actual pedal arm itself, there's also 4 holes, so it can go up, it can go down, whatever you need, or any combination of the two. Yeah, thanks Thrustmaster, appreciate that. So now we're going to go in the bottom position. Ah, come on. I'm cheating. It's not working though. I have to go by touch. A lot of stuff I have to go by touch because I'm not cheating. So, there we go. Now, gotta get the other one in there.
Yeah, exactly, comment. No grooming at all, man.
So, let's get the other one in there. Ooh, almost lost one of you bitches. You ain't going nowhere, Jack. You ain't going nowhere, Jack. Okay. So, here's the other side. Okay. So, that.
Yeah, that's a good point too, Chad. Wait till the next meeting when a bunch of other parents show up.
On the bottom.
All of a sudden, those parents can be like, hey, hold on a second.
Actually, we're on the top. Whoa, you stay in there. Stay in there. I'm not chasing you down.
In the first segment of the show, I shot up 20 followers on Truth. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Texas doing a show of force.
Okay.
You got the Border Patrol lining the Rio Grande. They're waiting for the federal court to rule on Title 42.
Our country is in a bad way. You gotta pray for our nation. Garfield? Kitty. Get pissed now. Shit. Damn it. Damn it. Hit one. It's on the bottom part. It's on the bottom one. There we go. Okay, so now I gotta find the screw.
Alright, you're after that. Okay.
And bolt those a little bit better. Alright. Find the screw quickly. I heard it bounce.
Hey, Casey Henderson here for R&B Car Company, locations in South Bend, Warsaw, Columbia City, And of course online at rbcarcompany.com. If you're looking to upgrade your vehicle, these are the folks to do it with. We bought our last vehicle there. Super comfortable buying experience, low pressure, no shenanigans, no weirdness, no hidden fees at the end of it when you're signing the contract, suddenly they're trying to nickel and dime you. No, none of that over at RV Car Company. Just great customer service, super friendly staff that made sure that the girls were entertained while we were able to go through the buying process and fill out forms so that way they weren't having a temper tantrum. And my wife was able to test drive 6 vehicles, and we were in and out with a deal in less than 2 hours. It was a super fast experience. We're on for the rest of our day in our new car. Go to rbcarcompany.com, and when you go into any of the locations for RV Car Company, please do me a favor. Let them know that I sent you.
So it's going to get mounted like this. And that's going to be my brake pedal. GTP_DTS. I haven't begun this GT7 with that account. Not yet.
If you've got younglings around, this may not be the best time to listen to this show until about 3:30. Just giving you a heads up. We just went over a parent who showed up at the Clark County School District, that's in Las Vegas, Nevada, and was directly quoting a bit of a play, I guess, a script that her 15-year-old was given in class, which used pornography and profanity, which the school board said she was not allowed to say publicly, yet it was okay for a 15-year-old daughter to get that assignment. Further proving the point. There's a high school teacher, and this high school teacher, she's 26 years old, her name is Olivia Orts. She's pretty, I don't know what else to tell you. You know, solid 7/8 out of 10. She's a very attractive young woman, and she is in a high school as a teacher.
That's not smart.
My position on this, not that I believe that people who are this age can't be great teachers to high school students, I do, but you have such a small age gap that you're increasing the risk of inappropriate contact with students.
Ding.
And I know that that's not always the case. I'm not trying to demonize anybody who might be a young high school teacher.
But it happens.
But she's only 26 years old, and she was in a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old student.
Ooh.
Who knows how many other students?
Fits the stereotype.
Her husband is the one who found it out.
Wow.
Olivia Orts is 26, now facing 2 counts of sexual activity with one of her 17-year-old students. Apparently, she had been communicating inappropriately with one of her female students.
Oh, lovely.
Her female students via the chat function on Spotify.
Whoa. What?
Bet a lot of parents didn't think about Spotify possibly being a place where their kids could have inappropriate contact with other people.
Oh, lovely.
The messages were discovered by her husband, who immediately turned her into administrators at the school. At least someone in that household had a moral compass, according to Joseph Gunderson.
Get these mounted.
The culture at large wants people to believe that men are the ones in need of civilizing and reining in, but in this case, the man was the one with the working moral compass. Your credit to your sex, sir. Is at crowd.com. New York Post has more details on it. You don't really need more details on it, but hey, if your kid is on Spotify like a lot, as a lot of kids are, Spotify is my go-to source for music as well. But there is a chat function on there, and you've got to pay attention to that stuff. You got to make sure that they're not having inappropriate contact with anybody. I mean, whether it's people of their same age or not. But again, this is a young woman, and she is engaging in this type of behavior with a 17-year-old girl.
Not cool.
And we've got this story, Libs of TikTok, once again exposing another story that happened. Where was this? This was in. I don't have the city. Sorry, I don't have the city on this. I thought no. This is Australia. Okay, that's why. It's in Australia. Now, yeah, I know we've had these drag shows and drag queen story time and that sort of stuff here in the United States, but in Australia there's a museum that did a like children's thing. Okay, so kids can come and play with Legos. They had like a bunch of Legos that were just like spread out in an area, and they were encouraging parents to bring their kids by. Kids can go ahead and just build Legos and whatever, just kind of play. It's getting harder to find things to do. And by the way, as a parent, when I had younger kids, like this little stuff here was glorious. Not very fun for my kids now, but when they're 2 and 3 years old, they love stuff like this. Oh, we get to go to the bookstore and just like rummage around in the kids' book section because they have little toys and they have a stage. My kids used to love going to the bookstore at the mall just so they could act things out on the little stage that they have there for the reading sessions. So little things like this are big hits with kids. So some parents who went noticed that there was a grown man dressed in women's lingerie.
Oh boy.
Garter belts and everything.
Oh boy.
It's a mini skirt and a garter belt. I'm staring at the photo right now. And this dude was on his knees playing with the Legos while the kids are there.
Oh boy.
And you can, well, mini skirts don't hide much when you sit down, right? I think we all know that. It's one of the reasons that ladies use the black mini skirt as a weapon of war in the dating scheme. So this museum allowed this person to stay there dressed in women's lingerie. Not women's clothes, lingerie. And play with the Legos while small kids were present. There's black fishnet stockings, pink boots, and women's underwear. So a parent pointed out the pervert to security who said that they couldn't do anything about this.
Bullshit.
Hey, so you don't know that's a pervert? Yeah, I do. Yeah. Can I just point one little basic thing out? Again, you know, we did this with early shows earlier in the week, this week, and then last week, where things just 4 or 5 years ago that were seen as red flags are now normalized. Anybody, any parent will tell you this. If there is a grown-up who is in a playground or is in a play area and they don't have any kids and they're just trying to play with children, massive red flag.
Yep.
Massive red flag. I've had a relative who walked his dog and sat down to take a break on the bench, have the cops called on him because he wasn't there with a kid and kids were playing at the playground. They didn't know he had Parkinson's.
Wow.
So everybody knows that this is a red flag. So if he had been dressed as a normal adult male, this is a red flag. If he had dressed as a normal adult female, this is a red flag. Showing up at a library for a kids event where small children are going to play with Legos with ladies' underwear sticking out and fishnet stockings and garter belts and women's lingerie, that is a massive red flag.
Yeah.
That is a groomer if I have ever seen one. I would bet money if you ran a background on this check, you're going to find problems. I would bet my producer's salary on that. But of course, the library couldn't do anything about it.
Bullshit.
Not much we can do, man. Sorry, just not much we can do. Sure. Now, I touched on this one a little bit. I'm not going to do it today because I promised I didn't want to do the adult theme stuff beyond 3:30. I touched on it a little bit today. I passed the mic. There is a story out of Philadelphia that I am going to cover next week on the early show. And the reason I have to do it on the early show is you're going to get some very graphic stuff, okay? I'm going to make it as PG-13-esque as I can, but I want you to imagine how you would react or how the world would react just a couple of years ago if your boss sent you an invite to an adult convention.
Okay.
Pretty sure it's sexual harassment.
Yep.
But there's a way that you can get around it being sexual harassment. And that is just to say, oh, we're just going to learn about trans people.
Doesn't fit.
Even though it's really not about that.
Doesn't fit right.
See, that's how you get around it. You'll understand the gory details next week on the early show, so make sure you tune in on Rumble Monday. Probably be around 11 or 12 o'clock. You're gonna want to see that one. No more coming up. News Talk 95.3 Michiana's news channel. MNC News Time is 3:32. Time to check out Impress Jewelry Creations, creating meaningful jewelry for the moments that will last a lifetime.
Screws should be just going straight in, but not.
Breaking news at the weather station. Excuse me, God, get the hiccups now. I'm over 100 followers. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Considering I've been on there for only a few hours, not too shabby. I'll take it.
You're welcome. So loosening the four bolts that are holding
Pay attention.
the front plate on to release the pressure on the sides so the two bottom pellets can go in.
Where'd my library story go?
Not Ziggy.
Dude. There we go. Finally, okay. Alright. Hey, you got balance of nature. Balance of nature, okay. Alright, folks, I'm gonna go grab a refill. I got a new video for you today for a commercial break that I think you're gonna enjoy. It's a new Freedom tune. So check it out, and we'll be back here in just a few.
I can't believe the Supreme Court. We can't have men making decisions about women's bodies. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Not all women have uteruses, and some men do. Oh, you're right. So, who should comment on what decisions who can make? Women should get to tell women what to do. Wait. Then cis women could exclude trans women from their spaces. Okay, hold on. I got it. Cis women can make choices for cis women. Trans women for trans women. Gender isn't just a binary term. How about this? Zims should be able to comment on what Zers and Z's do. And Z's should be able to comment on what Zers and hers do. But Zers should really only comment on what Z's and Zims do. No, guys, this doesn't make sense. Gender identity shouldn't affect your role in society at all. Gender is equal and should be able to comment on whatever it wants. Yeah, we need to stick to the point and categorize people on the basis of whether they have a uterus or not. Everything else is just arbitrary discrimination. That's true. But what would we call them? Uterus people? That's kind of wonky. What about womb men? Womb men. I like it. What about people who don't have a uterus? Just men. To constantly remind them that they don't have a womb. Ha! So how can we be sure who should and shouldn't comment on these things? Well, I mean, we could identify them through certain styles of clothing, pronouns, that kind of thing. But what about custom gender pronouns? Are you trying to obscure the lines between women and men? That makes it harder to protect women's rights. What are you, some kind of right-wing fascist? Some kind of turd? Okay, now that's taken care of. Should women be expected to do the same kind of exploitative labor as the men? Of course not. If they get pregnant, they're out of the workforce. Good point. They should be expected to work less. We could make it work if men had a social obligation to support them and pay for things.
Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and donate at patreon.com/freedomtunes if you want to help us make more.
Alrighty. Balance of nature, right?
Yes.
Balance of nature.
That's the way home with Lorraine by Florence Smith.
Yep.
That's what I thought.
It's so natural.
Why don't we just have that balance of nature? Why is that sled really?
What?
Why is that commercial sled that way?
Because that's the contract. I think it's written up for sales.
Okay.
Because it's through her weekend show. And she gets paid by them to do that.
Okay.
So I think that's just how they did the contract. Instead of changing it, that's, I don't know.
So it's contracted that it has to be.
It's convenient for the salespeople and not for us.
Well, that's all. Thanks, Phil. They pay our paychecks, so I can't complain too much.
Yeah. We pay their paychecks too.
True.
You know, salespeople love telling you that. You wouldn't make any money for work for us. Like, you wouldn't be able to sell anything for me.
That's true.
Just letting you know.
All right. After this ad.
Damn it. It ain't gonna fucking fit.
That's very true.
It ain't gonna fit.
It's symbiotic, man.
It's not gonna fit.
You gotta have ears listening in order to sell anything.
Gotta give Joe some reach arounds. Ain't gonna work. Totally platonic and in a non-perverted way.
Your people on there are getting a little experience of how the radio business works.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's been
Just a
like
little
for a
bit.
while, kid.
It's always fun when John comes in, it's like yelling. And then he stops and goes, "Is your camera on?" I'm like, "It's on every day." Yes, it's on. You're listening to you yell right now.
What do you be yelling about?
Sometimes it's at me, sometimes it's at somebody else, sometimes it's just about something.
Yeah.
John's was comfortable here.
Yo, your diet sucks. All right, time to improve this bad boy. How can I help? Well, you go to balanceofnature.com. You pick up the fruits and veggies, okay? You can pick up the fiber as well. Fiber's, very good. Everybody needs more fiber. Well, okay, not everybody needs more fiber. Most of you need more fiber. There's a few of you out there, you can probably cut back just a little bit. But the fruits and veggies, this is a blend of 16 whole fruits and 15 whole vegetables. Okay, this is not a supplement. This is not a drug. This is real food. It is 100% whole food, gluten-free, non-GMO. It's even vegan-friendly if you care about that. If you go to balanceofnature.com, you pick up the fruits and veggies, and it has your full daily allotment of fruits and vegetables. No extra meal planning, no extra calories taken in the food, no trying desperately to shove food down your gullet when you're too full to eat it. But this way you get all of the vitamins, the minerals, the nutrients that your body desperately needs to improve your energy, improve your immune system, and all of the other benefits of having a balanced diet. Go to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code LAURA, L-A-U-R-A. That's Laura Smith's promo code for Michiana's Morning News. Balanceofnature.com, promo code LAURA, and you will save 35%.
From the first step to the final phase, industrial and commercial electrical done right. Casey Hendrickson. Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. If you've got younglings out there, it is safe to bring them back to the show. If you are at work, it is safe to take your headphones off. We are done with the mature content for today. Although I have no control about what happens in open lines. That is entirely up to you. Now, friendly reminder, we can erase your existence on the radio if you do get out of hand. We are very adept at doing that.
This is killing my back.
You take over the show, 4 o'clock, Friday, every single Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern time, you call. Whatever you want to talk about, that's what we talk about. We take them in the order that we get them, okay? Sometimes it's busy. Most of the time it's busy. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's one topic that kind of reigns supreme, and other times we have a really good mix. Last week was a very mixed week. Tons of different topics and things to discuss. It was very diverse in the content flow from 4 until 6. So those are always fun for me. I find those to be enjoyable. All right, here we go. Have you ever asked yourself, why is it that the former Vice President, Joe Biden, does not use the Oval Office to address the country? Why doesn't he go to the press room and talk to the White House press corps? What is the deal with him going to these weird sets that are off campus, I guess? What you would say? It's not the right terminology, but it's Friday, what do you want? But he leaves the... Is this at the White House? Are these sets even at the White House? I honestly don't know. But remember they made the fake set that looked like the Oval Office, but it wasn't the Oval Office, and then everybody figured out that it wasn't the Oval Office, and they just decided to make a set that he was going to go there, like a television set, and he was just going to sit there and talk to everybody. Have you ever asked yourself why that is? Because I know that it was a big part of the discussion when everything was happening early on, but most people, I think, just chalked it up to COVID protocols, right? And they even floated the idea that it was a COVID thing, that in the Oval Office it was too close-knit, they didn't want to risk infection and that sort of stuff, so they did it off-site. That's why it was to help protect White House staff and that sort of stuff. But now that that's really not that big of a deal, why are they continuing to have him do these national addresses basically on a television set?
what is the point of that? Well, the New York Post has a report on that. It's funny because I was actually on Truth Social. By the way, tons of new followers since I announced that. Thank you. Go to truthsocial.com. It is open for everybody. Follow me at Casey the host. They did open it up for everybody yesterday. But why is it that he's still using these things? So what is the reason? It's not COVID. Okay, we know it's not COVID. So what's the reason? None of us really believe the COVID thing anyway.
I think they want the pedals to float
We've all been asking this question.
deliberately.
So the New York Post says
Why? I'm not
Biden's
sure.
aides have largely ditched
It's
using
not a
the
fit and
Oval
finish
Office for
issue.
press events.
It's a we want the pedals to float
The
issue.
inability to have a teleprompter permanently installed, forcing them to resort
Not
to
everybody
using
presses
a
down the
specially
same
outfitted
exact
Focus White House
angle
set,
all
according to a
the
report
time.
that was released yesterday.
So why not make the pedals float to move with the user's
Now, if
foot?
you go back to
Or
October
leg
7th
angle.
of 2021,
Kind of smart, ain't
there's
it?
an article here by Emily
So
Craig.
it's not fit and
Biden mocked
finish.
Truman Show
These
presidency
pedals
over
have a
fake White
wonderful
House
fit
set.
and finish.
And that's where he got his injection, which didn't look like a real injection, and that sort of stuff. It's just again, you don't aspirate the needle. I'm sorry, you're just that. If he got a real vaccine that day, there's a good chance that the person who giving it to him was trying to kill him, which we don't want. But this is a real interesting story here because for those of you who haven't seen this, I don't know if you've seen it. Everyone uses teleprompters. Okay, they all do. It's not a big deal. And I've already told you before, reading a teleprompter is not as easy as you think it is. But right now, there's probably some content creators in the audience going, well, you can get a teleprompter on your phone and your tablet. Why don't they just put it on a tablet in front of him and let him go ahead and glance down at it occasionally? So he uses these note cards, right? That's another thing he's been criticized for, is constantly having these note cards when he goes up and he talks to people at the White House. So now they've just decided to kind of just move him out of the White House and just put him on these sets. Have you seen his teleprompters? Ben, have you seen his teleprompters? His teleprompters are like 3 times as big as a normal teleprompter. They're massive. And I'm not knocking the guy for having bad vision. I'm just saying, he has these massive teleprompters. Because there's some of you who's probably like, why don't you just wheel in a teleprompter? Like, teleprompter rolls on wheels, wheel it in, stick the thing behind the camera, let him look at the camera, and read from the teleprompter. The answer to that is because they're too big. A normal person, you can do this. It wouldn't be a problem. But for him, the teleprompters are so large that this is a bit of a problem. Biden is known to stumble over his words even while reading from a teleprompter. He's been mocked for using the imitation set in the Southport Auditorium. Oh, Southport Auditorium is where it is. That's the Eisenhower Executive Office building, which is actually across the street from the White House. So it's not at the White House, it's across the street.
Wow.
The mention of the travails with the teleprompter was tucked deep into a political report on Thursday about a possible 2024 rematch between Biden and former President Donald Trump. The report said some of Biden's allies and other Democrats have expressed concerns privately that 79-year-old Biden may not be able to handle the rigors of a presidential campaign. To be fair, he didn't handle the rigors of a presidential campaign last time. The guy didn't do anything. There was no events. They hid him away.
Yeah, that's a no-go. They don't line up perfectly.
It was a gap fest. Remember the time when
it's alright. I tried.
Calling for Joe Biden and Joe Biden kept not showing up? It'll be like 10, 12
Gonna squish the boys. Unless Thrustmaster can make a larger pedal.
So that's the reason they use the
that would go across both.
Across the street from the White House, because it's all about the teleprompter, apparently.
Maybe they can. I don't know. Maybe they do. I don't know.
Casey Hendrickson. Alright. I am looking forward to my chiropractic adjustment on Monday. Because I missed it this week and I am stiff. Cracker. Yeah, it's just, I know, I've been sitting like extra long this week and it's just not happy. I feel like my neck is forward. Not fun. I might even do the massage chair too. How about them apples?
Casey needs an X chair. Sponsorship.
Gabby, that's why it was so funny that Elon Musk said that on that show, where he said whoever's running the teleprompter is really the president. Because it's kind of true.
Hey, now, what are you doing? I can crack it. Gotta change
John. Has John incessantly told you about how he doesn't drink? Yeah? Has he done that? Yeah? Okay. John had an alcoholic beverage today at Monterey.
Uh-oh.
He had a peach margarita. He had a peach margarita. And he was feeling it. David drove back. John did not drive the station vehicle. Dave drove back. But he's like, yeah, I actually had a drink. And he goes, it was a girly drink. But I'm feeling it. It's like, well, you don't drink at all. He's like, I know. He loves it. So I've been trying, what I want to do is I want to swap out his Mountain Dews with the new alcoholic Mountain Dew. And I just want to see what happens with it.
Don't get yourself fired.
I mean, you know, it would have to be something where, you know, we had approval without him knowing about it. That's the thing. There's ways of doing it where if you're highlighting the negatives of being inebriated, that you can get away with it because it's a PSA. So there's ways of doing that. Our old morning show, and I think that we should do that here. But our old morning show in Vegas, once a year, they would get drunk on air with a police officer.
My dad did that.
Just to highlight, yeah, it's great because one, it's entertaining as hell because you're watching your host just go, and they're on a very rigid schedule. Like at this time you're drinking this thing, at this time you're drinking this thing, and it's all managed, right, by professionals. And they have, you know, they have a paramedic there just in case. They have a police officer there. And then you have a sober person who is there to actually corral everybody and make sure that there aren't any language issues with the air.
I was going to say, that would be the big problem.
There's always a sober person in the studio because they can't run the board or anything like that. They're not allowed to. But you can do it if it's a PSA. You just can't actually be drunk into your show. It doesn't happen all the time. But, yeah, so I think we should do that, though. I think that I've advocated for doing that since I came here. I think it's a good public service announcement, plus it's entertaining as heck. And if you associate that with a fundraising mechanism for a charity, dude, gold. Pure gold. You kidding me? Every time we get to $5,000, they have to take another drink, even if it's an extra. Right? Yeah, people do that. 100%.
When my dad did that, it was a PSA for like drinking and driving. So when he got
that's what it is.
Yeah, he did a blood test, whatever they call it.
Right.
You know,
right.
Breathalyzer test.
No, we call it blood test. I like that better. Okay.
And so when he got to .08, they handcuffed him and took him to jail, and they
did the full process. And
yeah, they did the full process, but they, you know, like the more people donated, all those funds did not go to actually, you know, bailing him out. They went to charity because he didn't actually, you know, commit no charges. But it was the same process, and
that's cool.
Yeah, so they had to get to a certain amount of money before they could let him go.
Yep, they would do the 4 hours on the morning show with that, and then afterwards it would go out to an area in the parking lot that they had cordoned off, a little driving course, and they would compete on who could do the course the best. So you had your blood alcohol, again, somebody's in the car, you know, it's a training car. You had your blood alcohol test done, and then you had your driving done. That's what I'm calling here.
Oh, I'm killing my back right now.
4 o'clock, open lines. You pick it up, go on. Just open lines, 4 o'clock.
95.3 MNC.
Since 1903, Powell, LaFlorence, and Mishawaka has been serving Michiana with an unwavering passion for quality. No matter the time of year, they're here to help you with the finest hand-selected flowers.
Oh.
You can buy the brand fried chocolate.
Crap. That's not good for your back.
Is he on the floor somewhere? I don't know. He might be asleep in his chair upstairs. That's possible.
All right, I will ask him. We're about to go on the air. I gotta go. Thank you very much for your call, okay? Yep, bye.
Michiana's News Channel, your breaking news and weather station. And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News
Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Don't forget to watch the live stream, rumble.com/Casey the host. Hit that subscribe button. Also follow me on Truth Social. Finally, Truth Social has been opened up to the masses. So if you want a Truth Social account, you can go sign up right now at truthsocial.com. And if you're on Truth Social, please follow me at Casey the host. All right. I got to play some audio. Go to cue my audio for me, please. This is, I want to get his name correct. Where'd you go? I just had it. What is wrong with me today? I had a pretty good early part of the day. And now, like, I can't seem to get my act together. Oh, yeah, Representative Tim Burchett from Tennessee, okay? So he went on to, I think, he went on Twitter. And he just did like a little live video on Twitter, and he posted a video, I guess, because they don't have the live thing anymore, do they? They still have live video on Twitter? I don't know if they do. He posted a video, okay? Sorry, I'm a mess. He posted a video talking about the baby formula bill that the Democrats were trying to get through.
Shit.
Now, this is the Access to Baby Formula Act. Certainly, you know that there's a baby formula shortage.
What? Open the fucking factory.
If there is Access to Baby Formula Act, you would assume
Just
that the
open the
bill
damn
would be
plant.
about getting access to baby formula. Only it's really not.
Oh.
Once again, this is yet another example in recent memory where Democrats exploited a crisis to try and get some things funded that they were not able to get funded otherwise.
Of
and they're
course.
using the crisis to shame people who didn't want to go along with the scam. So I'm going to let him, again, Tim Burchett from Tennessee, Republican congressman, I'll let him explain to you what's actually in this particular bill.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. I wanted to talk a little bit about a bill that came through yesterday dealing with formula and the shortage. What it basically was $28 million in the bill, but I believe $23 million of it was for administrative costs and salaries. So basically what the Democrat leadership did was use a bill, title it something that's dealing with people that are genuinely hurting, and just use it as an instant
Slush fund.
increased pay at the FDA. And that ought to discuss
It's a slush fund.
A Republican using it, a real tragedy. It did nothing to put more formula on the shelves.
Nope.
It just did more to hire more bureaucrats and create more of a power structure here in Washington.
All right. Now, he's not alone. Several members of Congress came out and said that's what this bill did. The bill is one page. You can read it. And I know that a lot of people don't want to read bills because bills are boring. This is a one
Which way
page
shall
bill.
we hang it? This way?
So sometimes when you get stuff like
Or
this
this
done,
way?
what you do is you bury the pork deep in the bill because you know that people aren't actually going to look at it. But with one page, easy to decipher, easy to see where the money is going, and it's a $28 million bill. $23 million of it goes to salaries.
Well, is it going to be
Now,
high or
these
is
are
it going to
people
be
who already
low?
work there. Now, there are some,
So this
and Hillary
being
Clinton
all
and other
this.
Democrats and liberals are out there going, oh,
Be high.
Republicans voted against
So then
getting
drop it
baby
down.
formula to moms. No, that's not what they did.
Yeah. I
That's
have
not at all what they did, because this bill didn't actually
that
get
end
baby
on top.
formula to moms. That's the
And then
problem.
I'll drop it down in the block.
So if you actually look
And then we'll
at
go down
the
on the
department, which is
bottom.
the department I
That
think
way my
handles baby
toes
formula. And if
and
I'm
like the
wrong,
ball of
please
my
let me
feet
know.
will be higher up.
Department that
Because right
handles,
now, or earlier,
food
the ball of my feet was
supplement
here.
safety and that sort of thing has
And I had to put my foot up and
811
over to actually
employees.
get leverage.
So
Because
there are
trying to
811
push
people
down,
in that department
no leverage?
at the FDA.
Yeah.
Now, if all of this money were
Wasn't
to go
feeling
to
good.
them, that is over
But at least,
28,000
you know,
per person.
I was fortunate to be able to figure it
Now,
out.
that's what's happening. Just
And
give you perspective.
it's just an experiment.
If we're talking about funding the entire FDA, then this amount of money is a little over $1,200, almost $1,300 per person. Now, there are some who are saying, no, this is to pay for inspecting
So that's what we're going to
the
do.
formula that's coming from overseas.
Right.
No, that's not what's going on. There's already employees who work at the FDA who already have a salary doing that.
I'm so
And
tired.
even if they were to pull
Alright,
a
so that,
slight
and
bit
then
of
this block,
overtime,
20
it isn't
millimeter,
$23 million worth of overtime, guys. It ain't going to happen.
is going
So
to
it
be
doesn't
up
make any
here.
sense.
Now, if it's too steep
So
of
then
an
you got
angle,
Representative Peter
I'll
Meyer
go down to the
from
10.
Michigan. And I know that many of you are not
I'm not
fans
gonna
of
put up with
his,
sore
and I
ankles.
understand why. He
Don't
said,
need to.
absolutely, I voted against H.R. 7790.
Now, if you can make yourself comfortable.
on the current crisis
Okay,
and reports
so
bad agency behavior. This one-page
4
bill is
holes.
just a $28 million increase for
There we go.
FDA salaries. That's it. If baby formula
We're gonna go ahead
shortage was
and go
caused by
down.
underfunded FDA, this would help. But it wasn't. The formula shortage is due to bureaucratic dithering at FDA.
Trying to lower
Abbott's
this big flat part
Yeah,
further down the pedal
true. And
instead of
exacerbated
up
by
here.
protectionist import policies plus market inflexibility due to WIC's single
Yeah,
source
you're right.
contracts.
Damn it.
I voted in support of HR 7791, which addresses the latter two issues. Finally, apart from not doing anything to solve the current crisis, HR 7790 would be
So my
reporting an
toes-
agency that is performing its
It's
mission
gonna be lower,
poorly,
so my toes are gonna be
poorly
higher
without
up. The
connecting
ball
the
my
funds
foot's gonna be
requested
higher up.
to better achieving the
Let me see.
mission.
Let's
The
go.
moral
Let's do it.
hazard is self-evident. Yes.
Oh, crikey.
And, you know, he actually took the time to address it. Good for him. And like I said, I know that there's a lot of people in this audience not big fans of Peter
Bottom set.
Meyer. Okay,
Yeah,
seen
I
as
like the way
an
these
established
feel.
Republican type.
I hope they're not soft.
He's correct. And if you read the bill, it's pretty darn
I
crystal
love
clear
the
what this goes for.
Industrial
So
feel to
once
it.
again, they're gonna
Unfinished.
exploit a crisis.
Rough.
Remember Rahm Emanuel, dead fish himself. Never let a good crisis go to waste.
Stand out.
And the Democrats have routinely done this, where they've named bills that are not accurate. I know that happens in politics in general. I'm just talking about recently. They named bills that are supposed to fix an immediate crisis, but they don't actually do that. All they are
Move
sweetheart
gas
funding
pedal
bills
over
for pet
also.
projects and perhaps union labor or what have you, and that appears to be the case here. And the FDA is far from being underfunded, ladies and gentlemen. Not even remotely close to being underfunded. So don't let anybody lie to you about this. This was never about fixing any of the issues with baby formula. This is about raising salaries over at the FDA, who clearly hasn't earned it. All right. We're going to do open lines. Give us a call now, 574-25-95-95-3.
WTRC campaign.
Yeah, I like the angle these are at.
All right.
And on the low side too. So.
And everybody is super shocked that we're almost at a bear market. Super shocked.
Yeah, move the gas pedal over.
Here they come, folks. Here they come.
All right, I'll go ahead and put you on hold. We'll get you on the air. Yep.
All right, hour 2.
So
Okay,
all
so
I'm
I
gonna
did
do
on
is
the
move the
last
gas
break,
pedal
I have
over
to go
to the
get
right,
my refill
further
coffee.
away from the brake. Ooh, pirate time. I already did that though. Remove these 2 screws. Here's the gas pedal. Yeah, so here's the gas pedal. And all I'm gonna do is move the screws over to the left. So that way it's not gonna interfere with me braking. There's that. And there's that. And as far as height, I don't know. I'm kind of satisfied with where the gas pedal's at. I mean, height, not a whole lot of difference or anything. Perhaps I should use the 20 for the gas pedal and use that 10 for the clutch. So I can use the clutch as a fake pedal like in your real car. What the Where'd it go? Where's the block for the clutch? Blockhead. It's under the clutch, moron. Fuck. Okay. So I gotta swap the blocks on the clutch. I thought I didn't use the block at all for the clutch. I'm actually using this in the clutch. This is licensed music, by the way, paid in full. So don't even think about doing it. Don't even think about it. If you do, you're gonna screw the artist. Assholes. Understand how this shit works? Fucking lawyers. Notoriety, FaceTime. You need to be heard and seen.
There once was a ship that put to sea. The name of the ship was the Billy O.T.
Ooh, get screwed again. Dang, Casey. Screwed again.
It's that way with some guests.
Oh boy. Screwed us again. At least we got at it a little bit. It was fun today. Alright, so here's the 20 millimeter block.
When I'm doing this, I can cuss and that sort of thing. So,
Okay.
so sometimes you just gotta remind people if they're coming on. Just friendly reminder, this is FCC stuff. Anyway, bring it up.
I mean, if you took a communication 101 class, that should be obvious. You know, one, even if it weren't FCC regulations and could get us all fined and fired, it still looks unprofessional.
You know, exactly.
Duh, freaking 10. Right there. Stretch my back out a little bit. Alright, so here's 20 and the 10. That is significant.
Most other professionals in my kitchen talking to or
Yes. Yeah, it's you're toast. You're done. You're finished. Yeah.
That's the one thing you can do here to get fired quickly. Yep.
People have tried to get creative about the other things that they can do to get fired. You see, we keep coming back. I mean, there's been some creative ideas. I'll give them that. Super creative.
Being cuss on the air, steal stuff out of the studio.
We've had DUIs. We've had,
yeah, that would do it.
We've had romantic romps in station vehicles. We've had all sorts of stuff.
What?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Like we have cameras out front, guys.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. People have gotten creative. From the first step to the final phase.
Alright, so gas pedal. The golden gas pedal. It's gonna get the big block.
Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in.
Big block.
95.3
It says up.
Channel. I am your host.
And yeah, it matters because it didn't like it when I tried to
Happy Friday. For those of you that
turn
Friday
it down.
is actually Friday.
Didn't like that at all.
The rest of you, sorry you have to work for the weekend,
Like
but
pressure
you paid a lot of money to do it.
on the screws
The phone
and
number,
the
Last
metal and all
Doctor,
that shit.
Elkhart in St. Joseph County phone line.
If they designed it to be like that,
95,
you know,
95, that's 25,
it wouldn't say up, but it clearly does
95,
for a reason.
if you're on the live stream on Rumble, rumble.com/Casey the host, you can shoot me a topic there as well. If you get a busy signal, just wait till somebody hangs up and call back. Line 1 is not properly screened, but wait till line 1 gets properly screened since they were the first caller. Make sure that I get them on. All right, we'll go to this one first. Lee, welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Well, happy Friday.
What's up, man?
Hey, Michigan's in the lead again. We have the, I don't know if we're the first, but when we got the new FBI director up at Grand Rapids, for the Western Michigan FBI office, they were the first to put in the, terrorism, white supremacy hotline.
Yeah.
So sorry to say, Michigan is leading the way.
You know what's interesting about that, though, Lee, is, okay, so what was the name of that?
Should go top or bottom?
A couple of years ago.
Top or bottom, top or bottom, top or bottom.
There was that militia in Michigan that was supposed to be like a white supremacist militia, and they arrested everybody, took all their guns away, and it turns out that it was a giant nothing burger case, and they're still fighting to get their firearms back. Remember that? Yep. They're not white supremacists. They're not even a militia. So that was in Michigan. And then
you're branded with supporting the I can't say the poor boys.
Poor boys. Oh wait.
And here's you know what's so funny?
Why have the little cutoff there? I don't understand the cutoff. Why have the cutoff?
I'm indifferent to them. They're just not a white supremacist organization.
And is it just for style? What?
The violence in the vast majority of circumstances. There are some cases where the Proud Boys did start the violence, but they specifically attacked Antifa. They didn't attack anybody else. They just attacked Antifa. But, again, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, we're just going to smear everything as a racist white supremacist organization, even though they're not even led by a white guy. We interviewed a black member of the Proud Boys who was involved in the Kalamazoo fiasco.
Trial and error.
Results. But people are going to lie, and that's what they're going to do.
So we're leading the way
again, and proving it again, verifying. That's what science is supposed to be. Now I'll fucking make money in the stock market.
Republicans came out to vote in the Pennsylvania primary.
Dude, I saw that. Like, massive turnout in the Republican primaries. I think there was massive turnout in North Carolina, too.
Right, and so, but, of course, we do not hear this. All we hear about is voter suppression.
Right.
So now we've seen, it's made clear of the problems with these doggone mail-in ballots. We're waiting for the last 1,000 to be counted, and it's taken a number of days. So, we're quite proud of the fact that voters came out, but now they're being suppressed by the poor, workmanship of the collars in Pennsylvania.
And what's interesting about the Pennsylvania mail-in ballot things, I saw an article the other day, I didn't save it, probably should have, and they said something like mail-in ballots were down like 90%.
Huh.
In PA. So how is it that they can be down that much, but you're still counting the things? What's that?
We gotta get those mules out.
Alright, so here's the clutch. There's KB, woohoo! KaBoom. Anyway. Alright, so here's the clutch, which is going to act as a fake brake pedal like you got in a real car, so I can sit my foot on it and not be at the ready all the then again I'm racing, so I need to be at the ready all the time. So okay. Up or down, top or bottom, which one?
This is the thing. If you got 90% reduction in mail-in ballots, what other explanation is there other than incompetence or fraud?
So if I go down,
and last I heard is Dr. Oz's lead is whittling. He's like under 1,000 votes or something like that. So I don't know if that's changed.
Phony.
I saw that this morning. Don't quote me.
Damn phony.
Yeah, this is a close
Guy's a damn phony.
Yeah, last night it was 1,100.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think he was under 1,000s.
Alright.
I mean, who knows? It can go back and forth. And that sort of thing. It's super, super close.
Wait, did I fucking do that?
I've never been a fan of Dr. Oz's show.
I'm an idiot.
I don't know anything about the man personally.
Good grief, man.
But I would like his show, or the content of the show, or some things that he said on the show.
Stupid.
But I don't know anything about the other two candidates. I don't really have a dog in the fight. I did, tag Hannah in the post because the woman there, she did reach out. She's like, please let me on your show. Have him on too. We can discuss, we can debate, whatever. And he had publicly said that he didn't have any time to have her on, but he kept having Dr. Oz on repeatedly. It's like, what's going on, man?
Weird.
Like, there are people in primaries that I pull for too, but I still have their opponents on. I don't know. I don't like the way that Hannity handled that.
Nope. Sean got to go.
Yeah, well, like you say, when you get
He's got to go.
Primary
I'm done with him.
situation, it's always a problem.
Phony.
Oh, yeah.
When you got 3 contestants, and you like to not, get into the primary.
Yeah, you get into that, it's basically a purity contest. Who's more pure than the other, and it's, okay. We can bow out now. I took the stance that I did on Jake Teshka because Jake Teshka was being lied about, and I didn't appreciate that they were mischaracterizing his record. It's not because I've known Jake for many years. I do. People have heard me and Jake argue on this show about topics. We still get along, but I wasn't rooting for Jake because he's a friend of mine. I was rooting for Jake because I thought he's been a good representative in his freshman term. And, to see people slander him and lie about his record, that bothered me, and that's why I spoke out on that particular race. But there's, most of the time people know, like you mentioned, Lee, I stay out of the primaries most of the time, just because I don't want to get into that purity contest stuff.
Right.
So.
Well, I'm going to have to write our dear Senator Stephen out here in Michigan and say, please, don't follow the Western Michigan FBI office. We do not need a nationwide hotline.
Hear that?
Right.
But if they do, can I just say this? If they do put in these hotlines where you're at, folks, you report every single La Raza. You report every single BLM chapter that gets out of line, only if they get out of line, okay? Only if they get out of line. Because some BLM chapters are not radical. So you make sure that line isn't just about white nationalists or white supremacists. You make sure everybody gets called out and just harass them about it.
You mean like the guy that shot into the, was it Korean?
Laguna, in Laguna, in California, right? He was attacking He was attacking Taiwanese parishioners. That's what he was doing because he's a pro-China guy. So that's a hate crime.
Happy Friday.
You too. All right, man. Appreciate the call. Thank you much. All right, we got more coming up. Newstalk 95.3, the Giannis News Channel.
All right, let's see how e-sync works.
Google Sheets.
95.3 MC. All right, what's your name? Leo. All right, I'll go ahead and screen you and get you on here, all right? 10 screen.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah, everything's good.
You suck, dude.
Alright, so we got balance of nature.
Idiot.
The other ones yet.
You gotta put it in the load. I gotta turn the fucking air up. Hot.
Yeah, I gotta try and find Wednesday of last week to off. I gotta get Wednesday's stuff from last week because I wasn't in building.
Oh, so they didn't run?
So no, they ran. I just don't have them on my sheet. So I can do, so that way I can do my payroll.
60 degrees outside.
That's what I need to do.
Wow.
Sure has been adorable watching everybody make fun of me for the George Foreman grill install. Drooling over my steak yesterday. Just saying, man. It smells good in here. Damn right it smelled good in here. Except for what Alyssa said, but she came in hours later and said she doesn't like the smell of meat anyway. So,
alright. So here's the clutch. And I'm going to put it on the low side.
You didn't hear that from me. Dude, Alyssa, like, totally, for those of you who saw Alyssa,
It's going to be on the low side. The question is, should I put the bottom out? Or bring it, more forward? I don't know. I don't know how it's going to feel. It's not going to kick it out that much. It's only 10 millimeters. The other ones for the T500, if I recall, they don't have grooves. Sorry, they don't have a groove here.
Downstairs, through a hallway, 93 turns.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, her official
Know where your camera is, idiot. Alright, so see the grooves here on the sides? The T500 ones, the blocks, they don't have those little grooves or guides.
It was just, she picked up so much.
Cool, just fit and finish. You know, they improved stuff. Especially these freaking pedal faces, man. Damn. I love how this freaking feels. I just want a bigger one. I don't want a big one. I want the big one twice the size of the brake or 2.5 times the size of the brake so it can span across and use the clutch lever also. The same freaking design and material, all of it. What's this, brass? That is? Is this brass? Is it? I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Hasn't come up at all, man. They're just ignoring it.
Alright, so I'm going to put the ass end up.
It's not going to be a thing, man.
And we're going to go low on the block and low on the arm. Low on the block and low on the arm. Low on the block, moron. Low, not... Okay, so... We'll see it happens here.
She's IU. So she's IU. You were what?
Get over here.
Southern Indiana. And then Amelia is Goshen College. I've already graduated though. Yeah, you're done, but alum. But yeah, she did. She picked up all PAs. I mean, the PAs aren't the heaviest things in the world. I just don't think that they expected a girl to do that. And which one again? Decent. But yep, total.
Where is it? Oh, where did you go? You're not someplace easy where I can get you. Okay, I don't know where to go. Screw go. Where did the screw go? Where did the screw go?
Everybody, Casey Henderson here from allnaturalcbd.org. If you're looking for a pain relieving product that doesn't smell like a giant medicine ball, or is it oily and greasy and maybe just, you know, white cream kind of looks like you're walking around with, I don't know, like melted butter all over you? That's not a good look. Go to allnaturalcbd.org. Get something that actually relieves pain and isn't designed to add another sensation that masks the pain. That's what they do. Full spectrum CBD, which is the high quality CBD, not that isolate trash you get at the gas station. Full spectrum CBD in either 250, 500, or 1,000 milligram concentrations. This is a high quality lotion that will soothe and moisturize your skin. It comes in unscented or natural lavender scent, so you can smell burning or you can smell like you're sticking yourself. It's entirely up to you. allnaturalcbd.org, promo code KC10.
This hurts. This PlayStation. PS4 controller.
I have worn the lavender CBD lotion outside of the house one time and exactly one time. Now they use real lavender.
Yep.
Real lavender is very attractive to bees and wasps.
Yeah.
So I've worn it one time. I had neck pain. I was getting ready to ride the motorcycle. Put it on the back of my neck. I didn't have any unscented left. Go to get on the motorcycle, and a flippin' wasp stung me right in the neck, right underneath my helmet, stung me in the neck. So, my recommendation is that you don't get the lavender if you spend any time indoors. That's my recommendation, because it will attract them.
All right, 574-25, 95, 95-3. That is 25, 95, 953. Back to the phone lines we go. Ted, welcome to the program.
Hello, sir.
Oh, what's up, man?
I'm going to tell you something that you do not know.
Okay.
1989 was the revolution in Romania. And after the revolution, they allowed the Romanian people to leave the country. And that appeared an article in Romanian newspaper that Finland accepts any people from Europe, but not the Romanian and not the Turkish people. These two groups do not accept in Finland.
Okay, so who would not, hold on, I missed that part. Who would not accept the Romanians again?
Finland will not accept the Turkish people or Romanian people.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah. So you see, after 33 years, the Turkish did not forget. They are not accepted. Because you are accepted in Germany.
Yeah.
They made a mess over that. But anyhow, that's the reason I want to tell you that you did not know.
No, so, I mean, that kind of explains, you know, the Turkish position right now. I mean, yeah, I think Erdogan was basically saying Sweden was a terror state the other day or something.
Yeah. I have another story, but I'm not taking your time now.
Okay.
When I'm going to see you face to face, I will tell you some more.
Sounds good.
Because you are two long stories. Good luck to you and to your kids. Don't forget to send your kids to private school because we'll learn something.
There you go. Ted, appreciate it, man. All right, buddy.
And good luck to you and to your family.
You too,
sir. Hello to your mom.
You too, sir. I appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
All right, bye-bye. Bye-bye. All right, 574-25, 95, 95-3. Nate, welcome to the program.
Hey, good afternoon, Casey. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Hey, I called last Friday about, I didn't get a chance to hear your explanation about when the Republicans take over the House and Senate with a Democratic president who's not willing to compromise with Republicans.
This stuff kills my back, man.
And my second question to that is that
kills my back.
knowing that Indiana is going to win that Republican Senate seat and the House of Representatives seat, would that make South Bend turn from blue to red, or is South Bend always going to stay blue no matter what?
South Bend is going to be blue until they redraw those maps. And even then, I don't know how you're going to make it red, to be honest with you. South Bend is just a blue city, man. There could be a revolt. There could be a revolt. There almost was one against, Pete Buttigieg. Mueller had, he had a tougher race than a lot of people expected him to have. Sean Haas came in and doubled the vote of the two previous candidates, and one of the candidates, the one who ran in Pete Buttigieg's re-election, was a lifelong Democrat who suddenly became going to run, and nobody trusted him. So there's a possibility that the Democrats, because the Democrats in South Bend are a mess, and as the scandals pile up, that sort of thing, there's a chance that maybe, perhaps, there could be a revolt one election. But it's so hard to flip a generationally blue city. It is so hard to do that. So, is it possible? Sure, but it's going to take the people of South Bend to actually kind of wake up. And South Bend right now, they're not in a position where they're willing to do that. It's unfortunate. That's why when the I almost said Clark County School District, but when the South Bend School Corporation was pushing for the tax
and the way you got your pedal faces,
and I was reading it. And I'm like, wow, they're literally lying to you right here.
Ability.
And I was laughing hysterically while I was doing it. I was like, I don't even know why I'm going to cover this, because this is your one chance that I'm going to cover it. Because you're not going to listen to me. You're going to vote for it anyway. And then you're going to come back and you're going to complain that they charged you more than the price of a pizza with your tax hike. And that's exactly what happened. So, I don't know. It's a city that doesn't really engage. And as a result of them not really being engaged, they don't always know what's happening around them. I hope that changes, but I don't see that changing anytime soon. As for the other thing, I'll have to give you the Clip Notes version because I gave you a really long explanation of that too. For those of you who missed it, Nate had asked about, hey, when Republicans take over Congress, how are they going to get anything done with a hostile administration?
Yeah.
And the point is to block the administration's hostile agenda. That's the point. So the Republicans want to block Biden's agenda. They want to force Biden back to the center. But the other thing is investigations. Ding. They're going to be investigating Hunter Biden. They're going to be investigating Fauci. Those are two things that they have promised. And here's the thing. I will tell you why this is important, okay? Obviously, it's important to do those investigations. Joe Biden has hired an entire legal team. One of those lawyers is specifically dedicated to keeping him out of jail.
Wow.
Don't think for a second he's not worried about this. He's the big guy in these emails. We know he's the big guy. He definitely took illegal contributions while he was vice president. We know that. Now you just have to prove the case. But he's worried about it because he's hired all the lawyers. So he knows it's coming too.
Interesting.
The writing is on the wall, and you know, the real question, will anything happen to him? Probably not. Will the Republicans impeach? Maybe. We'll see.
You shouldn't have stole the election, dipshits.
Hates Biden. Even Kash Patel is saying that he hopes Republicans don't do that because it's just a waste of time and money. He'd rather them just focus on agendas. And the other thing that Republicans can do is they can just propose bill after bill after bill after bill in the House, and you know, send it to the Senate, and you know, send it to the president. And if the former vice president vetoes it, you know, it'll probably die, but at least they'll be getting legislation out.
All right.
Make sense?
That does make sense. That's just kind of sad that you got a majority in the Senate that's wanting to pass a bill, but the president's just wanting to veto everything that's put forward.
Well, yeah. If you take the House, if you take the House and the Senate, okay, which Republicans are expected to do at this point in time, they'll pass legislation. It'll pass both houses. The likelihood that Biden actually signs off on it is going to be very, very small.
Well, then we're going to have problems.
We're in a tribalist society that will not accept people like a Tulsi Gabbard who can work on both sides. You know, and again, I disagree with Tulsi on the vast majority of her platform, but she's a sane person. She's reasonable. She's likable. She's very intelligent, and nobody doubts her patriotism except for Hillary Clinton.
Ooh.
So this is, you know, if you're looking at a Democrat going forward, that could be someone who is endearing to the American people, a Tulsi Gabbard-like individual.
Yeah, can she transform the party, though?
And know that Trump was polarizing.
That's the problem. The squad is
Trump had
right
to be
there.
Polarizing because of what had been done to previous Republicans going in. They needed a nuclear missile to go in there and kind of rabble-rouse. That's what needed to happen, and the Republican base saw that. So going forward, maybe it'll be more like a Rubio or something like that. I don't know. We'll have to see and have to find out. I'm still thinking that DeSantis is going to hop into this thing. I really do. But, you know, I think a DeSantis Kristi Noem ticket is unbeatable. I really believe that. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. DeSantis may not want to do it. I don't know.
Let's see how this goes.
Yeah, something to think
Yeah,
about.
man.
There's still Trump out there. He might get into this thing too, man.
I really don't like.
You know, he goes back and forth on it, but he seems to hint that he's going to. But that could just be marketing. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know either. I think Florida's doing a pretty smart thing with DeSantis and Trump down there, and with everything he's been doing as of late. I hear a lot on the liberal media saying, DeSantis is doing this and it's causing this. It's like, well, what I'm seeing, because I got relatives that live in Florida, it's like, they're calling me, telling me that what he's doing for them, because my relatives are well way past their 60s.
Sure.
They're telling me, hey, this is actually helping us.
Well, and here's how you know the Democrat messaging on DeSantis is bogus. The Democrats aren't putting any money into trying to beat him in Florida. They're not challenging him. They're not going to try and beat him. There is a candidate. They're just not. The DNCC pulled all of them. Is it the DNCC? I forget which one. Their big funding mechanism there pulled all of their money and resources out of Florida. They're not even trying to win in Florida. So they will go everywhere else and tell you that DeSantis has turned that into a nuclear wasteland. Everybody on God's green earth can see how successful Florida is under DeSantis, and he's going to be able to ride on that. By the way, I just want a world in which Christina Pashaw is on the news every single day blasting hardcore leftists. That's all I want. I want his comms director front and center doing what she does best every single day because she's amazing. All right, I got to run, man. I'm running a little bit late, but Nate, appreciate the call, bud.
All right.
All right, take care.
Yeah, not a problem. Thanks, Casey.
You bet.
Bye.
All right, the Glass Doctor of Elkhart, St. Joseph County phone line, 574-25-95-95-3. That is 2595-953. We will go ahead and take more phone calls coming up next. Open lines. MNC News Time is 4:32. Time to check out Impress Jewelry Creations, creating meaningful jewelry.
It's actually 6:14, Casey.
This is Michiana's breaking news.
Cuss while I was screening him and said, "Get me blanket on there." So I'm not answering.
Okay.
That's why I hung up.
Yeah, they're gonna cuss. They're gonna cuss. You know?
Done.
That ain't gonna happen.
He's gonna continue to call back.
That's okay. Yeah.
You see, now I know. Don't let me pick it up because
Okay. Yeah, you're not gonna cuss my call screener and get on the air. All right.
especially like kind of randomness like that. That's not happening. All right, you got no figure.
Casey could primary brawn in 2024 and be a shoo-in. You think I can get Trump's endorsement?
Been on Tucker twice.
If I got Trump's endorsement, man.
What
Is he
is
like 47-0 or something like that? Did any of the Trump endorsements lose?
Yeah.
This is still up in the air, obviously.
There's a movement in the block. This thing wasn't tight.
But it was that guy who was on hold for
Something wasn't tight.
a radio show. What do you expect? You're going to be on hold for a while.
I don't know. I answered the ones that were on hold the longest.
Yeah.
So.
No. I mean, well, you can only get one person on the air at a time, man. Like it's. It's like we're not ignoring you, dude. Just, you can only put one person on at a time. So, a little bit of patience. Don't cuss at the ball screener. Yep. Gotta follow FCC rules. I'm not putting you on the air.
Really hit the dump button.
All right. Looks like Al was pointing out earlier that Trump got elected. Those Republicans didn't do anything. Yeah, those slim majorities with McCain type people. They didn't do what they promised, and they ran for re-election. They got in. They abandoned their promise because that's what these friggin' career politicians do. They lie to people. Democrats actually thought that DeSantis was a horrible governor, they would be pouring a ton of resources in Florida to prove it. They can't prove that case because nobody in Florida will believe it, and they know that. Like I said before, like the best campaign ads that DeSantis is going to have when he's up for re-election are all of the Democrats trashing Florida and then going to Florida on vacation to escape their own state's mask mandate. So the ads write themselves. Governor Whitmer told nobody to come to Florida. 1 week later, here she is in Florida. So, gee, you got one photo of her on the beach, doing her thing without her mask on. Yeah, you're not gonna run against something like that. That's just a perfect storm of getting your butt kicked. What's most important is that McConnell will not lead the Senate. Unlikely. I don't believe for a second that he's not going to be majority leader. I don't. There's no way he's going anywhere. And what's sad is I remember being a weekend host in Las Vegas 17 years ago and telling everybody, Boehner and McConnell are losers. Stop supporting them. That's a long time ago, guys. Beginning of my career.
Let's submit.
everybody. Amazing radio host that I am.
It's a bit kind of wonky, man. Sparks don't last that long. Love seeing it. It's cool and all. They don't last that long.
Yeah, wishful thinking, but that's the same guy I'm like too. Okay. Alright, we're about ready. Studios, from the first step to the final phase, industrial and commercial electrical done right. Casey Hendrickson. And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in to News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Once again, I want to thank R&B Car Company, locations in South Bend, Warsaw. R&B Car Company are your used car experts. It is open lines. The last doctor of Elkhart in St. Joseph County, 571-25-95-95-3. That is 25-95-953. Some people in the live stream are saying that I could primary Braun in 2024. And they think that I would be a shoo-in. I don't know. What do you think? You think I can beat Senator Braun? They think that I have as much name recognition, if not more, in northern Indiana across the state. And they think that I could beat him. I don't know. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't know.
That's not a good
Segments that I've done about, well, I'm not even repeating jokes that I've made over the years. I don't know that I can beat him. I'm not even remotely entertaining the idea, by the way. But I'd be very interested if you actually thought that I could beat Senator Braun in a primary. To the phone lines we go. Samuel, welcome to the program.
Good afternoon. Happy Friday, Casey.
Oh, what's up, bud?
Thank you, Amy, for the Senate. If you can arrange some electoral thought, I'm happy to vote for you from Australia for president.
Well, here's the thing, Samuel. I have a way to make that work because your call, however you're calling us, shows up as Minneapolis, Minnesota. So I can just have you as an expat from Indiana who's hanging out in Minnesota. You can vote for there. Yeah, that works. There you go. All right. Did you hear that I mentioned your prime minister earlier this week?
I missed that. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, then you go ahead and you talk about what you want to talk about, and then I'll ask you what I want to ask. How about that?
Well, I figure that whatever you're going to ask me about the prime minister is probably related to what I'm talking about. So you have a question for that.
Well, I thought it was interesting that he came out and was citing the data about how people died with COVID, not from COVID, and that the plan was always going to have an increased number of patients. I thought that was very interesting considering people were going off of social media for pointing that out before. And it seemed like he had a moment of clarity and honesty, which I was a little surprised about. So I don't know. What is your take as an Australian?
I think you might find that that's all just because we happen to have an election today. It's funny how all the states took off all of their restrictions in the last few months, except for Western Australia. They still seem to have some.
Just under it.
Probably just because most of the states are run by the centre-left Labor Party.
Okay.
And they're in opposition at the federal level, and they stand a reasonable chance of gaining power at the federal level, so the state governments probably don't want to be a millstone around their necks. And then of course, Scott Morrison, the Prime Minister, is of the centre-right party, which confusingly is called the Liberal Party. There's not all that much difference between Liberal and Labor here, to be perfectly honest these days.
Okay.
But, he's sort of been all over the place on what the COVID effects were, what the vaccines were doing. It's been all over the place on that. He's said pretty much from the beginning that we wouldn't have restrictions, we wouldn't have lockdowns, there were no vaccine mandates. I guess technically from a federal level it's probably true. He just didn't do anything about the states imposing it all.
Right.
So,
we've had our experience with that here too.
And of course, here it's a little bit different to the US in that the federal government is supposed to be more powerful than the states under the Australian system.
Okay.
But it's sort of it's funny, it kind of worked out the opposite way to that throughout most of the pandemic. But, of course, we've got monkeypox turning up here now, so stand by for lockdown number 576.
How many cases does Australia have of monkeypox?
One, I think.
Well, this is what's so funny. Okay, so the monkeypox thing is, I meant to talk about it at Pass the Mic today, but the monkeypox thing is interesting because the U.S. just ordered like millions of doses of vaccine, right? So for those of you who don't know, it's like every 6 to 7 years, there's like a minor little outbreak of monkeypox in the West. And I've seen several articles that are like, this is a thing that only happens in Africa. No, you go back a few years, there's a little outbreak in the U.S., there's one in the UK, and that sort of thing. So it does happen, but it's also relatively minor. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not pleasant, don't get me wrong, but it's interesting watching everybody just kind of like, oh, we need a vaccine, we already have one. And, you know, we're coming right into our election season. You got your elections happening right now. It's almost like they planned it.
Weird. Well, I could go down the rabbit hole of the document that's doing the rounds on Twitter, but I won't go there today.
Yeah, we can do that next week, maybe on an early show. Hey, can I ask you a question? Because it's been a while since you and I have talked about this. And for those of you who don't know, Samuel's calling me from Canberra, Australia right now.
Yeah.
When we talk,
Minnesota, depending on the call.
yeah, Minnesota, you'll be in Minnesota in 2024 when I challenge Senator Braun in the primary. But right now, we're in Australia. So, talk to my audience about the green energy problems that Australia has had. Because a lot of people in the United States will say, Australia has done this and it's been very, very successful. But you and I have had this conversation before. Talk to us about, you know, the green energy movement and where it's happening. Because I think you said like one of the provinces is like totally green now. But I don't have all the details. You tell us like what the Australian experience has been converting over to that type of thing.
Well, I suppose the best example of what has happened in some places in South Australia a few years ago. They shut down all of their coal power. They're pretty much reliant on solar and wind and power that they get from the other states, which happen to use coal still. But what happened in South Australia a few years ago was there was a rather large storm which knocked out some of the interconnectors to the other states. So they got pretty much no power from some of the other states which were supplying them with power from coal. There was too much wind, so wind turbines couldn't produce energy. There was a lot of clouds, there wasn't really much sunlight. So the entire state went dark. They lost power to the entire state. The main city there, Adelaide, was off for, most of it was off for about a day. There were other parts of the state that didn't come back for 2 weeks because it takes a long time to get an energy grid back up and running, especially when you have to get interstate interconnectors back online because you have to match frequencies before you can do that. It's not an easy task. Everywhere else in the country, we're just seeing prices go up and up and up and up and up as we get more and more solar, more and more wind, and they keep turning off coal-fired power stations. We've got one of our richer people here, Mike Cannon-Brooks, is trying to buy a company called AGL, which owns one of the last coal-fired power stations in New South Wales, which is one of the really big ones, and it supplies not just New South Wales, but bits of Queensland, bits of Victoria, depending on the need. He wants to buy AGL so he can make them shut down the coal-fired station faster. Not really any plan on what we're going to do after that, other than sit in the dark.
Breakfast.
And we've also had this bizarre situation where for a long time governments were giving subsidies for people to put solar panels on their roof, and they were paying above market rates to feed power back into the grid. That was helping people to pay off some of these solar panels, but the subsidies are drying up, which about time they shouldn't have been there in the first place. So you've got all these people who didn't recoup their investment on their solar panels. They're not getting the money back from the power they're putting back into the grid because during the day there's too much solar in coming up some of these roofs. There's nowhere to store it.
Right.
So it's not there when we need it.
It's the same issue that we have here too, I think. Yeah, we have a major issue here with that. So.
So everyone's paying more for power, and it's less reliable. And it seems that there's no end in sight on that.
Well, I appreciate you giving us a perspective. I've mentioned our conversations about this before, but it's always nice to have a refresher course just because you're there, I'm not. But Samuel, it's always good to hear from you, bud. You take care. Be safe out there, okay?
Okay.
All right. I appreciate it. It's our buddy Samuel from Canberra, Australia. We got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
What is wrong with you? Hey, man. That is pizza pepper, not wrong.
So I can pick up the other callers. If he calls first in line, it's going to pick him up.
Don't know. No idea. That I don't know.
I would just pick it up. I'll just pick it up and put it down. But we're almost out of time for. We're only doing that before 4 o'clock hour, right?
We do it, I mean, for the whole show, but if it starts drying up this early, it probably won't happen much in the 5 o'clock hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, we international.
See that.
Oh, he's an old listener from Vegas. He came to town a few years ago and actually traveled. Well, not town, he came to the country a few years ago. He was landed on the west and drove east in a car. Saw the whole country. So, got to have him here, and
My man loves the red, white, and blue.
yeah.
God bless our Australian brothers.
He's a good dude.
And sisters.
Good dude.
We had an election up there.
We don't pay attention to Australian politics, to be honest. Everybody pays attention to ours. We don't pay attention to anybody else's.
I know. I found it funny, like, they had an election in Canada.
Almost like it was all planned. Weird.
Do you think I should know that?
That one, I think a lot of people knew just because of the convoy issue.
Well, okay.
People were really paying attention to Canada, but it was unusual that so many people knew about it.
But it was before the convoy, though.
I know, but it's because of the lockdowns and everything else that was kind of like around that, and we had heard that the convoy was going to happen.
Also, Trudeau just used a special power and just basically called an election. He just decided there's going to be an election.
Yeah,
Our elections are fixed by the law.
I love that he got ripped at, I think it was the UN by, God, was it Germany?
Yeah.
I think it was Germany, and she just lit him up as a dictator. I mean, it was so good.
Yep, you know it.
Like, why is he addressing this board?
Gotta make some money.
He doesn't qualify to be here. That was great.
Shit, no.
He showed his true colors when he started wearing blackface years ago and did it multiple times a year.
Yeah.
Alright, Thrustmaster.
Yeah, how he got away with it as blackface. I know.
Because he's a leftist, man.
Yeah.
Remember, blackface is not bad when leftists do it.
Oh, okay.
It's only bad when people on the right do it.
I mean, I like the things that say if, like, video came out of Bernie Sanders wearing blackface and he would get killed here. I would like to think that, because that's the way it should be.
You know how I know he wouldn't get killed? Because Hillary Clinton can use a fake southern draw and carry hot sauce in her purse. Pete Buttigieg can ask Al Sharpton if it's okay to eat fried chicken with his fingers.
Squeeze my fucking nuts.
Yeah. Come on. Pete Buttigieg went on the streets of New York and drank from a 40 out of a paper bag on a podcast to ingratiate himself with the black community. A crime, by the way, because he did it at a playground.
Yeah.
And I looked up New York law. It was illegal.
What was the thing about the fried chicken?
He went to grovel to Al Sharpton, and he asked if it was okay to eat the fried chicken with his bare hands.
I mean, that's got a racist connotation, absolutely, but there is a plausible liability.
Oh, not.
From my perspective, it's not even the racial stuff. It's just you're a grown man. Eat the damn chicken the way you want to eat the chicken. It doesn't matter what Al Sharpton thinks. How about that? So it was just the groveling. Oh, am I allowed to do this, sir? Is that okay, sir? You gotta say no. I mean, everybody loves fried chicken, right? Except for that one guy who calls and doesn't like fried chicken. Every time I say everybody loves fried chicken, there's always somebody who comes, I don't like fried chicken. I don't even like chicken, and I like fried chicken.
Watch it. Stay over there.
Oh, man.
Better watch your ass.
Chicken breast is the,
Damn shit.
peasants.
Alright. This is where we break in the pedals. Damn it.
I use the blend, which is garlic, salt, pepper.
Salt, pepper, garlic. SPG.
I use Worcestershire sauce, and I just stick that
You said it right.
in my Ninja for 10 minutes at 390, or 20 minutes at 390. Perfect. Can't even keep my kids off of it. The toilet does not swirl backwards. It's true.
Alright,
it does not swirl backwards.
Brake pedal feels a little bit too vertical. Now I gotta figure it out.
Michiana's News Channel, your breaking news and weather station. Alright, so there is debate.
Learning curve, man. Learning curve.
Steam, me challenging Senator
Driving Tommy around. That's gonna help me learn.
Could Casey Hendrickson win a Senate primary against Senator Braun?
Fuck yeah.
That's
kill him.
It's an interesting question.
You kill him.
Now, there is a debate, though, that is happening on the live stream on Rumble right now. With the fact that I went on national television and called Stephen Colbert a fart sniffer, would that hurt my campaign or would it help my campaign?
Help it. Big time.
With the voters. I don't care about the party. Obviously, the Republican Party aren't going to back me. But would it help the campaign with all of you, my people? That becomes the whole thing. Because there's some people saying it'll help. I don't know if it'll help. Okay? I'm not so sure it'll help. Some people on the live stream think it's going to help. I don't know. All that, you imagine the Braun commercials, okay? This is my opponent, Hendrickson's on Tucker Carlson, right? These fart sniffers. Could you imagine? Does he represent the decency in D.C. that we need? I'm Mike Braun. I called cops murderers. Oh my God. Wouldn't that would be a fun campaign, I'm not gonna lie. Casey Hendrickson versus Mike Braun. So let us know. Does me calling Stephen Colbert a fart sniffer and referencing Hollywood celebrities as fart sniffers, will that hurt or help my campaign against Senator Braun? Yeah. Oh God, we were talking about Pete Buttigieg during the commercial break here, and him groveling to Al Sharpton about whether or not he was allowed to eat fried chicken with his fingers. And now people are just posting pictures of Pete Buttigieg eating. And this is...
Guy's an alien.
This is how you know he's an unhappy man.
He's an alien.
You know he's an unhappy man. 1, because of Chasten. 2, because of the way he eats. Have you ever seen Pete Buttigieg eat? You realize it's not just the Cinnabon. It's not just the chicken. It's the pizza. It's the ice cream. He looks like he desperately doesn't want to eat. Okay, you know what he looks like? This is what Pete Buttigieg looks like when he eats. He looks like an alien who is being forced to consume human food so he fits in, but he really hates it. That's what he looks like. And I'm just... Go spend some time. I know that it's been a while since we have talked about this, but go spend some time and just watch this guy eat. It is the most bizarre thing that you have ever seen.
So
if
much
I were
life
running against Pete Buttigieg for anything, I would run a campaign ad on, can you trust somebody who eats food this way? And it would just be a montage with like Sarah McLachlan on the background, like,
Oh, an angel. And just him, like, crunching into food with that weird, scrunched up, pain face that he has. You can't trust somebody who does that. I'm sorry, you can't. You also can't trust somebody who mispronounces their own name just for campaign purposes. But I digress. All right. The Glass Doctor of Elkhart and St. Joseph County phone line 574-25-95-95-3. That is 25-95-953. Friendly reminder, Truth Social did open up for everybody yesterday at truthsocial.com. And if you go to Truth Social, if you have an account or if you sign up for an account today, please follow me at Casey the host. That is, I'm live up there. I think I've doubled my followers during the show. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. And also make sure that you follow me on Rumble. All right. I've got to talk about Dan Crenshaw, guys.
Uh-oh.
I don't think that I have ever been more disappointed in my entire life. I'll be honest with you. And again, Dan Crenshaw is still great on a lot of issues, okay? I have 100% respect for his service. Everybody knows that. Dan Crenshaw attacked people for being upset about the aid package to Ukraine. Now, here's the thing, okay? Do I sympathize with Ukraine? Of course I do.
Ukrainian people.
How we could have prevented the war. I covered that before the invasion even happened. I told everybody what should have been done, and the Russians would have never invaded. We'd never be in this position. Of course, if everybody had listened to Trump, we wouldn't be in this position anyway, because Russia never would have invaded. But I digress.
Well, then they couldn't launder their money. That's the problem.
If you're going to give $40 billion to Ukraine,
to launder,
and I know that Dan Crenshaw will, but as a nation, you will give $5 billion to the southern border.
Ooh.
And you've got a baby formula problem, and you've got an inflation problem, and you've got all of these new measures that are going to cost extra money problem. This is not a wise use of our funds. It doesn't make any sense. It's certainly not fiscally responsible. I know there's an argument that we have to prevent the Russians from invading the rest of Europe. It's just not a logical one, because they're not going to invade the rest of Europe. And even if you thought that they were going to do it before, you know darn well they can't do it now, because they have taken a beating in Ukraine. For him to attack families who are upset about this is low. And he was rightfully called Eye Patch McCain by Tucker Carlson. Great nickname.
Oh, great.
I'm coming up 95.3 MNC.
And the idiots.
WTRC-FM.
And the idiots. Oh, my God.
All right, folks, beer song. And I'll be back. I'm allowed to complain about a beer being black. My lips touch another bottle. My whole beer don't get mad. When I'm at a bar, I'm always able to pick up a Bud Light. And beer looks the same in the morning as it did on
Friday night. All-day IPA. Bud Light? Fuck that. Harsh. All day IPA. Get out of here. Get out of here. pedal feels doesn't feel quite right. It's too straight. So before it goes on the clutch. Scorching the tires. Oh shit, stuck on the clutch. Yeah, I wish I could swap those two because it would be so much better if it was over there. Or these have extra long, have a little span, both sides. Pressing down the bottom again. Yep, pressing the bottom of the pedal, not the top. You gotta press the top of the lever. Resting my foot on the brake pedal right now. I'm nowhere near used to drive this car.
News Channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson, and we'll still take your phone calls, still open lines, okay, 574-25-95-95-3, that is 25-95-953. Truth Social is open and available for anybody to join. A lot of you have been waiting a long time to get into Truth Social. Remember when they flipped over to, Rumble Cloud, I believe it was, when they actually used Rumble's cloud service. They opened it up for everybody that was on the iPhone. It took them a couple of days to do that. And then we were told here recently that the web app was going to be available very, very soon. And it's open. So anybody can join Truth Social now. It doesn't matter what platform you're on. All you have to do is go to truthsocial.com. There is not an Android app for your phone, so you have to use the browser on your phone, but it works fine. The mobile website actually functions pretty good. I actually prefer the mobile site to the desktop site, to be honest with you. But it is functional. So if you want to join Truth Social, you can go to truthsocial.com, sign up that way. I got on Truth Social late last night. So if you would like to join me, just follow me at Casey the Host, C-A-S-E-Y. It's my usual handle on the internet. So at Casey the Host, you can follow me on Truth Social, and we've doubled my followers throughout this show. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And of course, don't forget to subscribe on rumble.com/Casey the Host as well. So Pfizer. Okay, here we go.
So setting the
Albert Bourla, that's the CEO of
brake
Pfizer,
pedal, the
has
brake
explained that
faceplate
Pfizer's new tech
low.
at Davos are ingesting
I'm not even
pills.
getting any kind of press
A pill with a
at
tiny
all
chip
out of that.
that sends a wireless
It's
signal
too
to
low.
relevant authorities when the pharmaceutical has been digested. And he said, imagine the compliance.
What?
Wow. Now, there's a lot of people who have been made fun of for the microchip theory, okay? And here's the thing. They're not going to give you a microchip with your vaccine or anything like that. That was always kind of a silly argument. Didn't really make any sense. But this is a new form of tech. So this is louder with Crowder. What new tool will our governments put into place to help them? Well, it might be something like a pill that reports back to them when you've taken your mandated medications. Big brother in your belly. That's the way to the future in medical tyranny technology. You don't have to believe me when I say it. Listen to Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla explain it to his friends at the World Economic Forum, and then link to the video, which I'll put in the Daily Show forever, everybody. Where else would the head of a corporation who hated the government restricting our liberties give such a talk than the WEF, World's Elite Fascist Convention, is where all the best authoritarian New World Order BS is peddled. So this is, basically the gist of this is you'll swallow this pill. This pill has that microchip in it, and the pill will monitor if you're taking your mandated soma. And I'm using Brave New World references here for a reason. By the way, can I just pause for a second because I have to bring this up because I've talked obviously about 1984 for 17 years on this show, and I talk about Brave New World as well. But I continue to run into a lot of people who have never heard of 1984. They don't know what 1984 is. They've never read it. They've never seen the inferior television movie adaptation of it. They don't know what it is, okay? Now, many people, because of the show, have said, all right, hey, 1984 sounds cool. I picked it up. And a lot of them have written back to me and went, holy smokes, Casey. This is crazy. So if you haven't read 1984, you need to read 1984. Now, the companion to that is Brave New World.
Really?
So 1984 is written by Orwell. Brave New World is written by Huxley.
I got it.
They had two different dystopian views of the future. Orwell believed in that boot across your face, right? That's what he believed. He believed that they were going to take away your sexuality, your pleasure, that sort of stuff. That's what he believed. It would just be constant abuse, basically work camps, that sort of stuff. Huxley had a different interpretation of what a dystopian future was going to look like. Huxley's vision was that everybody would actually be really happy. Society would be technologically advanced. It would be very clean. It would be very safe. And it would be that way because you had to take a pill every day. You had to take a soma pill. And Huxley believed that that was going to lead to hypersexuality. Nobody was monogamous with anybody. Nobody belonged to anybody. There was constant swapping. And it was almost a compulsion every night that you would go out and engage in this sort of hedonistic partying. That was Huxley's vision. And there's been a competitive sort of debate about who is more correct about the future. And for a long time, there's a lot of people pointing to Orwell.
Just make the password and open each other.
The truth is,
Three-way this time.
They're both pretty correct. I don't think that there's any doubt that Huxley's hedonistic, mandated, medicated approach is happening, along with the censorship and the control of thought
that Orwell was thinking would happen in the future. You blend those two together, and that's what we are dealing with right now. Now, if you swallow a microchip that Pfizer is developing, if you swallow a microchip that can report back you taking your medications, obviously that's going to apply to certain types of medications, like your vaccine. And it's not just going to be your COVID vaccine, it's going to be your seasonal flu vaccine, it's going to be your monkeypox vaccine, it's going to be whatever vaccine they want to give you, right? But it won't just be the vaccines, it'll be the pills. Like, oh, I don't know, a Soma pill. Did you take your daily Soma pill? The Soma pill, of course, is designed to alter your state of mind. It's a drug. It's not a supplement, it's a drug that alters your state of mind. And if you don't take it, you get reported back to the authorities, they send a drone to your house, it's the whole thing. You know, like the drones we see in Shanghai. The drones that show up when you're screaming for your patio and tells you, hey, quell your heart's desire for freedom. Shut up and close the windows. You encompass all of this with social credit scores that are being implemented right now. You start to get a picture of how this is going to look. And really nobody's escaping this now. And the World Health, the World Economic Forum, WHO's a part of all of this. You know, to have the CEO of Pfizer say, yeah, man, imagine the compliance. Quote, that's the quote. Imagine the compliance with our pill and a microchip in that pill that we can get people to do whatever we mandated they do. It should scare all of them. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. It should scare all of them. We have time to take a quick phone call here. Anthony, welcome to the program.
Well, they don't help each other again.
How you doing today?
Doing well. What's up?
So, day off work, didn't have much to do. I went and checked out that movie, 2000 Mules, that came out.
Yeah.
And, you know, just went in to check it out to see what they had to say. And it's horrific on what they, I mean, to visually see everything that they were presenting. You know, it's one thing they see it on, you know, hear it on the news a little bit, or over the radio, but when they started really dropping video footage and how they were tracking these cell phones, and they made a good point. They were like, well, you know, crimes, shootings, murders, you know, they're tracking these people because of cell phone pinging in the area.
Right.
And they took that same approach, and then they were like, these ballot boxes, we started putting a grid around them and seeing what phones were pinging near them, and then we went on to see how many of them phones were being pinged near other ones, and it just, when they said 2,000 mules, that is like the understatement, because when they get through the end of the movie and they really put in perspective how many people were involved and what, you know, they're basically trying to explain, you really think about how voting happened. It's like, man, it's like, really, what's the point of voting if you don't even really seem like you got a shot?
Which is exactly what they want you to think. It's exactly what they want you to think. They want you to think that, hey, you can't make a difference, so why bother? And they'll just...
Yeah,
Sleepy time.
It was just, you know, they were talking about, well, when some indictments came down in Arizona about fingerprints, and then they started just dumping all these videos where instantly everyone was wearing rubber gloves at these ballot boxes. And then they had to start taking, man, it's, I don't want to spoil some of it, but
sure.
Yeah, I
there's a lot.
Special for 6,
yeah.
And it's worth it. I mean, some friends like, you get wrapped up into it. Like, hey, I'm just listening to a few of it.
Well, and here's the thing, though, you know, and again, documentaries can do that. And there's nothing, if you go into a documentary knowing, hey, they can wrap you up in an issue, they can frame it in the way that they want to, right? If you go in there with that, you're more likely to be able to spot things that probably don't make sense. So if you do see something in the movie that doesn't make sense, all right, go after that point. You know, debate that point online. Find evidence that whatever Dinesh D'Souza is saying in that movie isn't true. And that's been his challenge this whole time is, all right, if you don't think that my documentary is accurate, that's fine, but you've got to at least present some evidence to challenge what I presented. And that's what, right now, he's not having any success in finding people to actually challenge what he's presenting. So maybe it'll come with time, but you should look at all documentaries that way, because whoever's making the film wants to frame it a certain way.
Dinesh D'Souza happens to be a really good filmmaker. So.
Yeah, and I mean, if that was his agenda to get people to think a certain way, he really found the facts.
You know, to inform you also.
I mean, but I really am interested to see the test of what he put out.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to refute this? I mean, this video is surveillance. I mean,
that's the beauty. That's the beauty of this. Anthony, I got to run because I'm on a heartbreak. I apologize about that. But thank you so much for the call. I appreciate it.
Have a good weekend.
All right, you too. You too. And like you said, it's 2,000 mules. I recommend that everybody watch it. And it's a fraction of some of the stuff that happened. That's the thing. And some of that stuff is still being debated right now. The Zuckbuck thing in Wisconsin is still going through the court system. And we're still finding ballots that hadn't been counted from 2020. There's still a ballot box that's never been opened and delivered. That is, one of the drop boxes. I mean, it's weird to see all of this stuff, but there's a lot of problems. But I also encourage people not to jump to conclusions based on those problems. If there's problems, does that necessarily mean what you want it to mean, or is it just a symptom of a problem that needs to be fixed, but maybe wouldn't have changed the outcome? You know where I stand on that. I think you know where Dinesh D'Souza and most other people stand on it, but at the same time, it's worth looking at because there's clear issues with the process, which is why, over 23 states shored up their election laws in order to fix those problems after the 2020 election. We got more coming up. Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
I wanted to let that guy talk while we're running the real
Yeah.
Good look at Casey and that.
One of those callers wanted me to give you a website. I can't pull it up, but it says that South Bend is the most dangerous city in Indiana.
We've talked about that several times.
All right, so I gotta go to bed. It is way too late.
Road snapped out.
See you tomorrow.
But when I try to pull something out,
Have a great day.
Yeah, we've talked about it several times.
That's right. Thanks for watching, subscribing, hitting that like button, hit that follow button. And a good morning.
And action.